as you walk through the valley of the shadow of hell, you will realize that there is something ahead. Something that lurks behind the dark veil. A veil that is beyond our own comprehension. Beyond the void.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to
Beyond the Void.
Horror Podcast.
Woo!
That is loud.
Yeah, it's super loud. Yeah. That's all right. I'll turn you down, Brittany.
Fuck you.
But guys, hey, welcome back. This week we're having a brand new episode.
Whoa!
We got some older movies that we're going to be talking about today. I picked two movies that Brittany said she was really excited to watch. So, have you ever seen these movies before?
I'd seen one.
The one, okay. So we're going to be talking about today Demon Seed and
Altered States.
So two movies I felt were kind of similar, even though their topics aren't really the same. So we're going to be calling this episode "Go Home, Science, You're Drunk." Yeah, we pull them out of our ass here around here, folks. So just go suck it, all right? What was that, like a...
It's pulling it out of the ass.
Oh.
I
Dude, I was like, what are you, huffing on someone's butthole? Is that noise?
Yes. It was like the drag queen pop I just ended up doing. Alex is dead.
Sorry.
I'm taking over.
Sorry. I'm old.
I'm old.
But yeah, guys, so we're gonna be doing that here in a little bit. But first, how have you been, Brittany? How's your party, your extravaganza, lust? Horrible.
No, I'm just kidding. It was great. It was fun. Last was a blast. We had a really good time.
Yeah.
As always. We always have fucking fun, but yeah.
I'll make it one of these days.
I
Do it
feel
on
like
a Friday and I'll come.
No, Fridays are fucking stupid. Everyone hates Fridays.
Well, that's why you gotta make it better.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, no, we had a really good time. A lot of really good bands, a lot of really cool performances, just all around good people.
Nice.
You know, there was
Did it go late?
general debauchery and shenanigans. Yeah, it usually goes till about at least 2:30, close to 3.
Was anybody shitting on each other? I'm just kidding.
No, we didn't have a two
No,
girls,
hey,
one cup situation.
Sorry, no king shaming. I'm sorry. I'm
Unfortunately.
just
Unfortunately.
just being a silly dude.
I think it was the last one or maybe the one before that, though, where we covered the boys' bathroom in blood and
Oh, nice.
all took pictures in there. And there was, like, naked chicks and toilet fucking. And it was not actual fucking a toilet, but fucking on the toilet. And, like, yeah, it was
How
pictures are great.
clean are those?
Not. Those pictures are great.
Yeah,
Mo
and,
took those,
Last
and they're
I
amazing.
remember, I love the Rogue and everything, but the bathrooms, it's seen
Yeah,
better days.
they made it even worse that night. So, but yeah, it was good times.
Well, that sounds
that
fun.
didn't happen this time. I feel like this was like pretty tame.
Right.
This was a more tame Lust event in comparison to prior years. I don't know why that was. It was still just as raunchy and fucked up and crazy as it always is. But I felt like this year we didn't have as much debauchery as you usually do.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs when you know that there's just not enough debauchery.
There wasn't enough, but it's okay.
But typically, this is probably too much for some people. You know, that's the funny thing.
I was
when you
like,
think
we
about
had
it.
so many newbies that have like never been to a Lust event before, or, like don't ever go to events like this ever, and like they were like, "What the fuck?"
It's like, where were you? It's like, where were you when you saw your first fisting?
Yeah,
like, you know,
where were you? Oh, I can tell you where I was. I can tell you exactly where I was, actually.
I can too, actually.
It was at a warehouse party that Dark Mark was DJing when he first started DJing, and it was a old Spirit Halloween store that they had this fucking party at.
Where they had that whole fucking,
my God.
what was it, the mortuary room? Yes. I
That
remember
place was
that.
fucking sick, by
It
the way.
was awesome, dude.
That was cool.
Dude, guys, we got the party in this fucking, like basically a haunted house, like a,
It was
like
a haunted
Halloween
house.
one, like a fun house.
It was a Spirit Halloween.
Right, and they had this house that looked like
and
a real
Halloween,
house.
It was also a haunted house. Like
Right.
and that's where we went. That's where they had the zombie paintball shooting. That's where they do that
Oh,
every
we might
year.
not be able to say this, actually.
Why?
Now you think of it.
Why?
Because I know it was like a real secretive thing too.
Oh, well, that was a long time ago. It's fine.
It's for our friend's birthday.
That was like
we won't
5
say
years
who.
ago.
Yeah.
More than that. That was like 7 years ago.
Fuck that. I remember
a long
that.
time ago.
It was
so it
BYOB.
Yeah, it was a blast. But yeah,
Yeah.
so Jenny and I, like, we had been there for all of 10 minutes. It's early as fuck in the night, right? And, like, we are going to try and find the bathroom or somewhere to smoke or whatever the fuck we're doing. And there was, like, a big bondage party, too. It was a bondage party. It was a fetish event. It was, like, a fetish thing. And so we are walking to try and find the bathroom. And we look over our shoulder, and there is this guy getting his asshole fisted by a chick.
That's talent.
And Jenny and I are like, what the fuck?
What happened to my life?
Like, I think we're probably, I maybe was freshly 21, 22-ish. I don't even know.
Oh, so this was the butt.
I might not have even been 20.
This is the butt?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I might not have even been 21. This was that long ago.
Yeah.
And good times.
Well,
so, yeah, I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, Jenny and I are just, like, standing there looking into a gaping asshole, and then some chick starts fisting it, and I'm like...
If you listen closely, you can hear the wind of the ocean. You can hear the ocean. I remember the first time I saw...
Bro, you got seagulls in there? Like, the fuck?
I remember the first time I saw someone elbow deep. It was at that mansion party that they used to have. It was many there all the time. And there was the back room where everybody would go to hang out to kind of like get away from it all. And there was like a tub right there. And I remember walking by and going, oh, hey, nice. I'd shake your hand, but...
I broke a metal spatula on someone's ass at a mansion party once. He had fucking spatula-shaped bruises and like welts and cuts.
Just like with like little
all
holes.
over his body. Yeah, the holes.
Or
like,
the
it was
lines.
straight spatula, like lines and shit. Like whole shape and then the lines in the middle. And it was Jodo. We did it to Jodo. And he had fucking bruises and cuts and shit all over his entire fucking body. And I ended up breaking the fucking spatula on him. It was
goddamn.
Fucking awesome.
Well,
good times.
Other than that...
I'm like, I can keep going. No. Stories. I have so many.
I bet you everybody's like reeling in horror.
I bet they're not. They're probably like, what the hell?
They're like, wow, what's in this room?
Like, let me tell you a more recent fetish story that I came across.
Well, I've actually been super fucking busy. I've been behind the scenes. Like we've cut back to like, one episode a week, which has been really helpful. I don't think I would have been able to get this shit done I did in the past couple of days had we not done that. Like, there's just no fucking way.
For sure.
But I finally finished the song for the short that's coming out. I also did some sort of intro thing. Man, I just been busting away at like stuff. So I'm like having that off my plate. I was severely stressed about it because I haven't been writing music every day. So, but it just came to me. You got to hear this track. So, and you liked it, right?
It was awful. No, it was really good. I liked it a lot.
I was trying to feel around to see if she really did like it, but she said she wouldn't. She would tell me if she didn't like it.
I would tell you if I didn't like it. You would know.
So eventually, guys, you will hear that. I can't say just when or what. You did hear it on my birthday on the live stream before the words came in, or the lyrics and everything, the singing.
The words.
There was words in it.
Noob.
Anyway, but I am just so relieved. Like, that takes so much pressure off my fucking back. Like, fuck, man. And now I can focus a little bit more back on the website, which has been struggling a little bit there. But we do have some people coming on here soon. We got a lot of interviews coming up, guys. So you're going to want to stick around for that. Next week, in fact, we're going to have the director of Low Life on, Ryan Prowse.
Yay.
And I'm super excited about that because I love the movie. It's really good, guys. So here's your fucking warning to watch the movie. I don't know that he's going to spoil anything, but we are afterwards going to talk about Low Life and like what our thoughts about it are. And we'll save the spoilers for the very, very end.
We'll try.
No, I definitely will, because I don't want to ruin it. I never like to ruin new movies, especially. Like, if it's an older movie, like, I don't feel so bad. But, yeah. So, guys, we'll have that next week. But I think it might be that time, Brittany.
Horse shots!
Wait.
I did it myself. Horse.
Ready?
No.
Ready?
Okay.
Horse shots! All All right, guys, so we're back, and we're going to be doing our horror shots. And today we're going to be doing it for the movie Altered States. Now, we've taken a few ingredients that it's probably not our finest moment.
It's fucking gross, guys.
If you guys listened to last week's, that was probably the worst one, unfortunately.
No, Marty Party's still the worst.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Marty Party's still the worst.
I don't know.
That was hell.
Well, this one might be a little bit better than last week. And we haven't tried it yet because we do this in our minds first, and then we put it together and try it for ourselves. Very rarely do we do it before, unless it's like a Jell-O shot. And you
Jell-O shots we eat like 10 before we record.
Yeah. So this one's called Sensory Mutation, which is a play on words because they do sensory deprivation in the movie Altered States, so we thought we'd play with that. So now, get your cups out, get your shot glasses. Pull down your pants and let Uncle...
Bend over, let me fist your assholes.
Let Uncle Alex pour in some alcohol. All right. I feel like I'm like... It reminds me of the butt thing where they did in Johnny Knoxville or whatever, where fucking, like, Steve-O, where he did the butt chug.
Gross.
Yeah.
So gross.
Oh, and he got sick?
Yeah, you get fucked up, because that's the fastest way to absorb anything.
Oh,
through your
fuck
butthole.
that. That's such a bad idea.
Oh, my God. We were watching fucking Intervention one day, and there was this chick that was doing heroin through her butthole.
Ugh.
And I'm like, what?
Well, now that you guys are appetized and
that?
ready for your shots, all we're going to do...
She, like, would bend over and, like, squirt the heroin in her butthole.
Okay, that's enough.
That's how
That's
she got
enough,
high.
Brittany.
I didn't know you could do that.
This is a Christian radio show.
I just didn't know you could do that. I was fascinated.
No, yeah, fuck yeah, you could do it. What isn't that?
I mean, I guess if it fits, you put it up there, right?
I was watching Future Man, and he was blowing coke. That's what it was. He made like a chain straw where you can like hook all the straws together,
like Andy Dwyer.
and then he like put coke in the end and it made it bend around into his asshole, and he blew it. Anyway, guys, sorry.
I need to watch Future Man.
Little derailed, but what you're going to use for this sensory mutation is you're going to be putting in about a half a shot of tequila.
I'm going to fight you. Tequila makes me fight people.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll kill
We'll
you.
just like have a fuck knock over the monitors.
Fuck it.
So half a
I've
shot.
always wanted to flip a table.
Half a shot of the tequila, and then a fun one that you guys love is a half a shot of Fireball, which we've never done tequila and Fireball, I don't think. So this ought to be interesting. We're also going to be doing one ingredient, because I always feel like 3 ingredients is you got to have at least 3.
You always.
Because otherwise it's just somebody else's drink, right?
Otherwise, who cares?
It's hard to make up drinks because I'm sure some of the ones we've made, somebody's made.
Well, probably.
But so here, check this out, guys. The last ingredient, it's kind of like, when you do your tequila shots and you do your salt and your lime, but we're pouring in just a little bit of imitation lime on top. Just a little
it's
dab.
Not real lime juice? You're giving me imitation lime juice?
Well, I don't know. It says sweetened
You bastard.
lime juice.
So it's light lime juice with sugar in it?
I guess.
That's a thing? Just give me another. That is a huge shot. That is not even a shot.
It's a full shot.
That is not a shot.
Yes, it is.
No. That's like 2 shots.
Don't sip it, whatever you do.
Oh, God.
Because we don't know how this is going to taste, guys. You ready to go out of the rabbit hole with us, folks? All right. First live puking of me right now. Ready?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, no.
It's actually not bad. You're drinking it slow?
Yeah, it's kind of good. I actually kind of like it.
It's not bad at all. It kind of works together really well. I mean, the Fireball pokes its head through, so if you're not a fan of Fireball, maybe put in like 3/4 a shot of tequila.
Yeah, I got the sweet lime juice at the end.
Yeah, I know. It was like
Don't
it was
like
all
that.
like a bead of water, like skimming across the top. Yeah, guys, that's the sensory mutation. And if you would like to try the sensory mutation, all you have to do is go to longlivethevoid.com and check out our hashtag horror shots now.
Horror shots!
Woo! But that's it for horror shots. All right, guys, so we haven't done news in a little bit, but we're going to do it today, and we got a few things that are popping up in the news because it's the fucking news!
Here is the fucking news.
guys. So we're back. We're going to do the news now. We're going to talk about a few things that you probably care about.
Maybe.
Hopefully. Let's see. First of all, there's a new Gremlins movie, and it isn't a sequel.
What?
Yep. It has been confirmed to be a fucking reboot. Chris Columbus, not the sailor who sailed across the sea, actually confirmed that the Gremlins will be a reboot and also put down the chances of a Goonies sequel.
No.
Well, I mean, if they're already fucking harpooning for a fucking reboot, first of all, there should be a sequel. It shouldn't matter. They should be able to come up with some fucking story. It's like, come on, man. You could figure it out. Anybody that's a fan of Gremlins could have think of something and then have somebody else fine tune it because it's been so long. You gotta make a shot in the dark because what you're gonna do is you're gonna make a reboot and maybe it could be good, but why?
Right.
Like, they're going to try to fuck up the fucking Gremlins. They'll make them all CGI. You know they will.
They're going to, yeah.
And that's one thing I wrote. I posted. I was like, look.
Fucking lazy.
Whatever it turns out to be, it better be fucking practical effects or fuck you.
Yeah. Well, no, they're going to be lazy and cheap, and they're going to go CGI. They're not going to go practical, nothing.
Think of it this way. If they couldn't think of a way to make a sequel for a movie that pretty much reiterates itself in every fucking sequel of the two that are out, what are you going to do any differently? Like, I just don't understand. Like, why couldn't you come up with something just a little bit different and do the same scenario? Oh, Gizmo gets caught again. The Gremlins are up there. They're hijinks.
Why think of new ideas when they can just rehash old ones?
Well, it's like if they're not willing to put in the time to make a new story,
they're not.
Then you know they're not going to put in the time to put in fucking practical effects.
They're not. They're not going to fucking want to pay somebody to create fucking puppets and shit. They're not going to fucking do it. They're not going to do it.
That's the heart and soul of that fucking movie.
This is why this shit's like not fucking happening anymore.
And guys, you know me, I'm okay with reboots. I'm okay with fucking remakes and shit. I'm not like Mr. I hate everything and let's argue and bitch about something.
I kind of hate everything. So
I just think that's a movie that you really take the time with, and in a way to not piss people off about a franchise is by making a sequel. You can piss people off and they can be like, well, that was a bad one, because every franchise has bad ones.
Right.
So, like, you know, and a lot of... Whoa.
Sorry.
You doing all right?
Smacked the thing.
She's like, fuck you, Mike.
Fuck this Mike.
But it's like a lot of franchises. I mean, you have tons of shitty movies in those. You know what I mean? And, like, no offense to Halloween, but there's some pretty bad ones in there.
Yeah, like the Season of the Witch.
No! I refuse and reject you.
The worst one.
It is not the worst one. It is just the least Michael Myers.
So stupid.
It is just a standalone movie that they tried to do. You know the story, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Well, we have this argument every time we talk about Halloween.
I get mad. It's because fun. I found a new love for it. One of my buddies, Ken King,
the bear every time.
Ken King, who's in the Do You Love Horror group that we run, he actually rewrote and remade a version of it. And from what I can recall, and I hope I'm not spilling the beans here for you, Ken, but we were talking about because we came up with the movie idea because I was like, hey, have you seen Season of the Witch? Because like I never gave it a chance with like separate eyes and just to look at it as a movie.
Watching it by itself.
Right. I said, I've never done that, and I just hated it because it wasn't a good Michael Myers movie, right? And he was like, yeah, you know, that's probably a good one to remake because it's not a good movie. Like, it's not, you know, a favorite, but it's got a cool premise. You know what I mean? It's bad shit, the original. But so he was like, what if the masks, like, turn people crazy? And so he wrote this whole script. He sent it to me once, but I never have fucking time for anything. I can't even read this side of a cereal box. So, but we don't even have cereal, so that's probably why.
I love cereal. Rice checks. My life.
Christ checks? Is that what you said? Oh.
Yes, Christ checks. I eat Jesus every day.
In other news, though, guys, Alexander Aja, the Hills Have Eyes director who remade it, speaking of reboots.
Which was a great one.
Yeah, it was actually really fun.
Really fucking good.
He actually is making a VR game called, or just called VR. It's called Campfire Creepers. Now, a lot of people have kind of, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but there are a niche group of people who are experiencing VR, whether it be on their cell phone,
Rich
Sony
people.
PlayStation, Oculus Rift, or even on the Steam Vive. But apparently he's at the Tribeca Film Festival this week, and he's also going to come to the Oculus Rift and Gear VR headsets this weekend. And he's going to be doing 2 episodes of Campfire Creepers, which stars Robert Englund, who is obviously best known for Freddy Krueger, while the second episode plays with the dynamic between camp counselors and children they are entrusting with. The things that can go wrong with tensions between the 2 groups rise in the middle of the forest on a full moon night. So you can kind of imagine this is what they have to say. Aha says, all storytelling started around the campfire. He said, the perfect technology for all. So, and I will say this, like, for those of you who don't play games or don't experience horror games and you are horror fans, I've got to say, like, I get more out of a horror video game, like, scare-wise.
They scare the shit out of me.
Than I would ever get with a movie these days. Not that I don't like both of these are mediums of art, right? But you know, I probably appreciate film a little bit more when it comes to horror. But if you want to have an experience and you want to go on that little fucking, you know, ride, go play a fucking horror game. I'm telling you.
I used to play it was like Hellraiser in space. Video game.
What? Oh, wait, what? Oh, Dead Space.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that fucking game. That shit is terrifying. I used to like watch my ex play it and scream.
That's got some pretty good atmosphere in it.
Like, it scared the shit out of me just watching it, and then when I tried to play it, I was like, nope, and fucking threw the remote.
And that's kind
I'm
of
done.
That's kind of a little bit more on the mainstream list. There is so many independent.
I'm not a gamer, so like
anything
that I know is gonna be like mainstream as fuck. Like Silent Hill scares the shit out of me when I try and play it. Like any Silent Hill game.
No, yeah. But
you
just imagine that what I was getting to
Left
the
4
point.
Dead. I'm like,
the point I was getting to though is that not just playing it on the screen, like on a screen in front of you, is that much more intense than watching a movie most times. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine putting on a VR headset and experiencing something like that?
Thank you.
It's pretty intense,
I'm
dude.
good. I don't even go to haunted houses, so.
I'm not. I don't know. I get scared like a little bitch. I've been playing a lot of like independent horror games on the stream lately.
VR shit, like, just I don't know. I don't like it.
I don't know if I can handle it, guys.
I did this whole thing because Jenny has the VR headset thing that you put the phone on, you know.
Right.
And she
that's
put
the Gear VR.
Yeah, she put on this like shark dive, like cage great white shark thing for me, which was amazing because that's like my dream to do. And so I'm watching this like crying because it was amazing, and I'm like, oh, this is so
dude,
cool.
people I've seen videos.
Like, okay, do this horror movie thing. I'm all, no.
Yeah, I've seen people play VR with those headsets, and I just think to myself, you are brave.
Yeah, no fucking thank you.
Brave individual.
I don't trust myself, like, not to run into shit, break stuff. Like, I absolutely not. And then, like, the horror games, something fucking jumps at me, I'm gonna freak out.
Yeah,
I just, no.
I really like it. I think there's a lot of immersion. And apparently,
it's
Alexandra
awesome.
Aha really believes that. He went on further to say, as a director, I'm always looking for immersion.
Well, I think it's great. The technology's great.
He said VR may be the tool we've been dreaming about for so long.
Yeah, it's dope.
So he's got all the chips on the table. He's ready to lose it all for this, apparently, it seems like. He's probably testing it out. He's probably got a little bit of money, and they're like, oh, yeah, let's see what you can do.
You know what they need to do with that? Concerts.
Oh, they are. That's what Facebook wants to do.
Good.
They own Oculus Rift.
Good.
Yeah.
Because I hate
That's
going
why
to fucking
Facebook
concerts.
bought VR, is so that they could have social interaction. But things aren't too hot on the Facebook front right lately.
No, I posted about this like once, like 2 years ago or something. Is like, why do they not have like a pay-per-view thing for like any fucking concert that's live streamable that I can sit at home in my fucking underwear, drinking my own fucking whiskey, watching the band I want to fucking watch.
Why stare at your phone when you're at the concert when you could be at home with a headset on?
And I don't want to be next to. I hate concert. Like, I love them, but I hate them. Like,
dude, you just charge it like a pay-per-view event.
I'm always next to fucking assholes every time that like talk throughout the entire show, or they bump into me, or they spill shit on me, or whatever, or they're fucking annoying.
I mean, that's where it's going.
Or I'm behind tall assholes, and I'm tall.
Right.
Or I'm behind people that record the entire fucking show on their phone, and I have to watch it through their phone, and then I get pissed. So I'm super stoked because I'm going to Jack White. Yeah. And that's a phone-free concert. They make you lock your phones up.
I heard about him doing that.
They're getting into that now. Like, that's a big thing in big concert venues, is they're starting to do that, where they have those lock boxes that you have to lock your phones in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, good.
I'm sure somebody will sneak around with one, but
and somehow they'll figure it out. But I don't care. That'll be one person that hopefully will not be anywhere near me.
But what do you guys think though? I mean, do you like VR? Are you interested in VR? Do you think it's the wave of the future? I think personally we're like 5-10 years at least out from it being a thing, because from the people who I know who play VR, especially games, they go, yeah, it's cool, but like I feel a little nauseous after like an hour or two.
Yeah.
And even that's with people who aren't as sensitive to it, but there are a large group of people who are very sensitive to it. It's not for somebody with epilepsy or anything like that.
Yeah, it's like exclusionary to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly wouldn't mind sitting on my couch and watching a movie like that, like laying down.
Yeah, and I think it's great, like I said, for like a concert thing or something like that,
right.
Like where you don't have to move your head all around to experience shit. But like when you watch games and you do shit like that, you have to move all around to view other spots,
right?
You know, and I'm like, and that makes me dizzy too. And I'm like, fuck, man.
I would want to watch some of those first-person movies that they do, like we did in Hotel Inferno.
Like yeah, that or like Hardcore Henry or whatever.
Yes, yeah. I love that movie.
That would be fucking cool.
But hey, guys, what about this? What would you think about winning a chance to have $25,000 towards making a feature-length horror film?
Dope.
Well, here's your chance. Apparently, there's an opportunity here that a couple of producer companies that do movies, there's I'll read it from the top here. It said, basically, with the announcing of its Communal Nightmares crowdfunding rally, the good folks at Seed and Spark, a tireless filmmaker-friendly crowdfunding and SVOD organization. They're with 3311 Productions, who did the movie It Follows, and distributor The Orchard from Georgia, I believe, that did the movie Creep. They do a lot of documentaries as well. They want to help make your dream come true. If you're chosen, $25,000 to a first look distribution deal, and experienced executive producers could be coming your way. So basically, here's how you can enter. You will first need to basically create a Seed and Spark campaign for your feature-length horror film idea by Tuesday, May 1st. You want to be passionate and exciting and slightly scary. If your campaign is approved, it will be live from May 14th to June 15th. Throughout those 4 weeks, you will need to raise a minimum of $7,500 for your campaign, in addition to providing that there's a strong potential audience by gaining 1,000 campaign followers. Campaign contributors are included in your follower count, by the way. And if you make it that far, you will officially be a campaign finalist and asked to make a 30-second video update identifying why your project is blood-dripping ready to go into production and why it requires the genre of horror to be told. If you're chosen, your film gets $25,000 for production purposes, a first look distribution deal with The Orchard, and executive producer roles provided by The Orchard and 3311 Productions. So the deadline's May 1st, 2018. So you're going to want to submit your campaign, and we'll include the link below, guys, if you are interested in that. I know we have some filmmakers that listen. Hell, fuck, we make up our own fucking movies here, but we'd have to make it a reality, so there'd be a lot of work. But I think there's a couple of movies that we've made up that I think we could do. So maybe we'll enter. They had something similar like this before, where I can't remember which company it was. Maybe it was Shudder or something like that, where they were going to give you like a ton of money to make a feature film if your idea was really good. And I choked. I was like, fuck, man, like
farts.
Well, I do so much, but I mean, would you guys be interested? For those of you who have like a little bit of an idea of a movie that you've always wanted to see, would you submit that? If so, why not try it, guys? It's worth a shot. Even if you don't, maybe it'll get a bug up your ass to start doing something yourself. Also, at the Venice Film Festival, they're going to be honoring David Cronenberg with a Lifetime Achievement Award, which I think is highly deserved. I think Cronenberg is one of the best directors, most influential in a lot of... He started his own genre, pretty much.
Yeah.
Body horror. He's one of my favorite directors. I love Videodrome. I love Naked Lunch. I like a ton of his movies. He's gotten a little bit different as he's gotten a little bit older. You know, he's done some stuff that he probably always wanted to try his hand at, which aren't bad. I definitely enjoy them. But he's going to be honored at the Venice Film Festival. with its Golden Lion for Lifetime Achievement. So it says in a statement, Venice artist-director Alberto Barbera praised Cronenberg for managing to venture beyond the constraints of the horror genre from the start of his career and having shown that he wants to take his audiences well beyond the cinema of exploitation. So he's 75 now. We announced, I posted all over the place because he's my boy. But Cronenberg said, I've always loved the Golden Lion of Venice, a lion that flies on golden wings. That's the essence of art, isn't it? The essence of cinema. It will be almost unbearably thrilling to receive a Golden Lion of my own. So that's going to be coming up. It'll be running, the festival run August 29th to September 8th. For those of you who are out there and listening, I fucking love you. And I wish I could be there. So, but yeah, I don't know. You like Cronenberg stuff?
Yep.
I'm pretty much a nut about him. I wish I, you know, I mean, there's a side of me, it's like, I just wish he would have kept going the Videodrome route, but, you know, things change, you know, like, you can only do so many movies, and,
yeah,
I don't know. It probably gets a little boring to do the same style. Sure. He's done Scanners, he's done fucking The Fly, he's done fucking the remake of Fly, by the way. Mm-hmm. He also did The Brood, he did Videodrome was one of my favorite. Existenz I love. Naked Lunch I love. Like, everything that he's touched, there's just this artistic style about him that I just fucking adore. Any of you guys listening now, are you fans of Cronenberg? And what is your favorite movie? Please sound off in the comments. But also in the news, we actually just got a new poster that's revealed for the new Halloween movie that Danny McBride has been a part of. Looks like he's missing an eye, too, which is true to the character because Laurie Strode stabbed him in the eye with a fucking coat hanger. So they're kind of sticking true to it. Although, have you seen the picture?
Oh, yeah.
You did see it. Okay, because a lot of people were making fun of it. They're like, oh, sad Jason. Sad Michael Myers.
No, I think it's dope.
It's like he kind of looks like the Thinker. And some people were saying that the mask is old and tattered because he's old.
He is old.
I know. Well, legitimately, but this is supposed to be part 3.
It looks fine, people. Shut the fuck up. I swear to God.
I don't know why people get upset about it.
Everyone's so fucking nitpicky about everything. It's so irritating
just his face.
to me.
It's not even anything like...
Exactly.
Yeah, and he's missing an eye.
He looks the way he should look. Leave it the fuck alone.
Poor sad Michael.
Poor sad Michael. Poor sad you. Fuck you.
Cue the music.
This is the world's smallest violin.
For just 5 cents a day, you can feed a poor sad Michael Myers.
5 cents.
Just donate now. The link are below.
Get a free t-shirt.
In the arms
of an angel,
fly away. Yeah, let's sing a heroin song for fucking kids who are starving.
God. They do that for what's the one they use for the ASPCA too? It's the same song, right? Sarah McLachlan?
I think so, yeah.
Fucking whore.
Oh, no. That's a different one. That's the one where they have like the kids with the flies and shit, right? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, the ASPCA is that Arms of an Angel, Sarah McLachlan song.
Yeah, you might be right about that. But I'm saying the other one.
I know which one you're talking about, though. And it's the old white guy with the white beard.
Something flying around, buzzing around. I can't remember.
It was still a Sarah McLachlan song. It's
Bender
just stupid.
Bender from my band Black Ops, who he always had this song that he made up. I can't remember how it goes, but it just cracks me up. For just 5 cents a day, you can help a Michael Myers. He hasn't stabbed in many years, but
he hasn't stabbed in many years.
It's basically the third part for you guys. For those of you who don't know, the new Halloween movie is not a new sequel. It is a sequel in the sense that it is the official. It's the new part 3 that never got made. So because we got the Season of the Witch. Which was, if for those of you who also don't know,
part 3 that should have been made.
John Carpenter thought after he never wanted to continue on with Michael Myers, he thought that he should be, the more that they delved into Michael Myers, the more that they would expose what he is. And he didn't want that. He wanted him to be this mysterious thing and no answers and never have an answer. Well, so they started a whole new fucking thing where they were going to make a whole season of, or not a season, but a new story each time, and it would just be called Halloween, and then it would be like Season of the Witch, which is completely different than Halloween with the Michael Myers version. So didn't work out, but I thought it was kind of an interesting idea at the time, you know?
Yeah.
But are you guys excited for the movie? I've seen some back and forth on our Do You Love Horror group, and I think to myself, like, I'm not worried. I'm not even the biggest fan of Halloween. Like, I like the first 2. And maybe some of the Rob Zombie's stuff that's in it.
I like Rob Zombie's first remake.
Right.
That was good.
I liked both of them, but I didn't love them.
I didn't like the second one.
I liked the second one because it was brutal, but
it was brutal. That's the best part about it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like the first two. I wouldn't mind seeing this third one. I'm kind of interested because it's kind of like we need this weird anomaly to make Halloween good again. And maybe Danny McBride and I can't remember the other guy's name is the fucking reason that it's gonna happen. This
is gonna be fun.
This is what I was mentioning to everybody else. First of all, John Carpenter, when Rob Zombie was looking to get his blessing, John Carpenter's blessing. John Carpenter's like, do whatever you want with the movie, man. It's yours. It's, I'm not going to tell you what to do with it. And, turned out John Carpenter didn't really like it. And it was kind of a big stink because he's a very vocal person.
Super violent.
Yeah, he was like, it's because they tried to explain where he came from. That's not John Carpenter's thing. He's never wanted him to be explained.
Well, that's why the second one sucks, is because it goes even further into a backstory.
Sort of, yeah, but you mean the new ones?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but so anyway, John Carpenter didn't really care. He didn't like what Rob Zombie did. I think he even apologized to him because he made some very curt comments about Rob Zombie.
Yeah, which probably broke his heart. He loves him.
Yeah, I know. So now, fast forward to today, Danny McBride, out of nowhere with some other person, decides to write this fucking story. And they're like, everybody's on board all of a sudden. Like, everybody's loving the screenplay. Everybody's loving the story that they came up with and the fact that it's part 3. And, like, John Carpenter even got to read some of the fucking story and they want him to do the music for it. And he's like, yeah, I'm all about it. So it's like, and then you got all these people coming back, some of the cast and shit, like...
Yeah, they kind of did it the right way.
It seems like it's a good thing. I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket and say, yeah, it's going to be great.
They're making the third movie that should have been made.
Whatever.
So, 9 out of 10 fans of Halloween that you ask all hate the third one.
You know what? That's what I'll tell you guys. When we watch it, I'll be like, it's either better or worse than the Season of the Witch. And that way you'll know.
You're a fucking horrible person.
Anyway, guys, that's it for the news. Now we're going to go ahead and do our flesh and potatoes of Go Home Science, You're Drunk. But yeah, guys, so stick around. We'll be right back. We are back, and we're going to go ahead and jump into Brittany's, not necessarily pick.
It's not my pick.
But it is the one I commanded her to do.
I'm going on record that this is not my pick.
All right, so Brittany, which one is this?
Altered States. I'm just kidding.
You fucking bitch!
All right, so... I did Demon Seed, which came out in 1977, which is excellent because I didn't realize both these movies were old.
Fucking beautiful.
Fucking beautiful. It's about a scientist that creates Proteus, an organic supercomputer with artificial intelligence, which becomes obsessed with human beings, in particular, the creator's wife. Dun, dun, dun.
Wow. Whoa. Intense, bro.
He's gonna fuck her. Anyway, this was directed by Donald Cammell, who has done not a lot. He's done 2 actual feature films besides this, one called Performance, the other called White of the Eye, and then he's done 4 videos and documentaries on U2, which is
really
great. I fucking hate U2,
Super
so
fan.
I was like, of course I get stuck with this one.
Hey man, they probably paid him really well.
I'm sure they did. He did, I think, 2 videos and 2 documentaries, or 3 videos and 1 documentary, or whatever. One of them was like a greatest hits documentary or some shit.
He was like, when do you want me to come shoot?
Sunday, Sunday. And I'm like, I could give a flying fuck less about you too, so I'm like, God damn it.
Hey, you know what? When I was younger, it was a big deal.
I'm
like
still
there was
mad
Depeche
at them.
Mode and there was U2.
No, I'm still mad at you two for like automatically downloading their album to my fucking phone.
Oh,
those bastards.
What, Europa?
No, it was through iTunes.
Oh, I don't.
You remember
that was
this?
before. That was pre-iTunes.
It was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I'm still mad about it. Like, one day I wake up and I have a whole fucking U2 album on my phone, and I'm like, why is this here? And then it was like impossible to delete it.
So, guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna play a little U2 in the
No, we're
background.
not.
Fuck it, you know.
No, we're not. I quit.
Light some candles.
This is when I leave the show.
So when Brittany gets her knife out, she
Kill you.
yeah, we won't be having knives here. But anyway, continue on.
I
Brittany.
know where there are knives.
So
Anyways,
he did a lot of U2 stuff.
Yeah. So and this is based on the novel written by the one and only Dean Koontz, who is most well known, I feel like, for the Odd Thomas series. I don't know how many Odd Thomas books there are, like 5.
I didn't even read any of those, to be honest.
I read 3 and then stopped.
Really?
But I feel like there's more than that.
I stopped reading after the Phantoms book.
Odd Thomas is great.
He got a little into some more thriller shit, and I wasn't really into it.
Yeah.
I think he's
Mouse prefers him over Stephen King.
I do too.
Mouse hates Stephen King.
I do, but only when he's writing horror.
Right.
When he's writing like
Yeah.
real horror.
Mouse does not like Stephen King.
Really?
He can't read his books. He's like, I have never finished a Stephen King novel in my life because he says he thinks he just doesn't like his writing style.
Right.
He's like, but I can't fucking stomach Stephen King books. He's like, I love the movies and film adaptations or whatever and stuff is great, but he can't do the books. And I'm like, I fucking love Stephen King books. Are you kidding me?
I don't think all of his are great, but I liked his short stories a lot more than
nobody
anything.
likes all of them, but I mean, like, there's a handful that I really enjoy. But I like a lot of Dean Koontz books too. Like the Odd Thomas series is great.
I never read that.
At least as many as I've read, which is 3, and I'm pretty sure it goes on to 5 or more.
I only heard about Dean Koontz when I was like going on a trip somewhere. I think it was to like a Boy Scout event or some shit, like a Weebelo, a Weebelo event, and we were going out in the mountain, going blowing each other.
I was gonna ask, how many dicks did you suck on this adventure?
I got thrown into the Weebelos. Kicked out of the Weebelos. Kicked out of the.
All I hear is we blow.
No,
that's it.
No, it was just a Weebelo event, and that's what they call them. It's like there's different layers.
Blow a dicks.
No, there's like different things, and I never
Okay.
even did the Boy Scouts when I was a kid, but I was too old to go through the youngest program, so they just threw me into the Weebelos, and that's the one where you get the little fucking handkerchief around the neck, and you're like, cool.
Yeah,
it's like a kerchief.
real cool. You're the coolest.
Anyway, yeah, I was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I got my blowjob badge. It was pretty awesome. Anyway, continue on, Brittany.
I can't now. Oh, shit. Anyways, some other books that Dean Koontz wrote were Watchers in the Funhouse. There was also 2 other writers on this that did the screenplay.
Right.
So the screenplay was written by Robert Jaffe, or Jaff, I think
Jaffe.
you're
right, Jaffe.
Who did Motel Hell and Night Flyers. And also Roger O'Hearson, who did Pieces of Dreams and The Old Man in the Sea, the TV movie.
Okay.
He did a lot of TV stuff.
I know the Night Flyers and the...
This and Pieces of Dreams were the only ones that Roger O'Hearson did that were feature films.
Okay.
Everything else was TV. Same kind of with Robert Jaffe. He did a lot of TV stuff too. Or shorts. Or whatever. But
sure.
Like feature films were Motel Hell and Night Flyers. Motel Hell was pretty dope.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in years.
Yeah, me either. But I just remember it was cool. It stars Julie Christie.
Yeah.
Because she's not a big deal or anything on the...
Why don't you tell us how big a deal she is, Brittany?
Every fucking, poster imaginable for this fucking movie.
Right.
Mouse is like, I still don't know who Julie Christie is at the end of the movie. And I'm like, what's the...
But he knows her boobs.
I'm like, are you serious? It was the main chick. What
Yeah.
the fuck? Anyway, she played Susan Harris. I know her from Dr. Zhivago. Mm-hmm. Which I love that movie. I know a lot of people
it's kind of weird choice.
Don't like it, but I liked it. She's also in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, so that's cool.
Was she nude in that one too? Or?
No.
Okay.
No one's nude in Harry Potter. Those are children's movies, you piece of shit.
Was she fucking Harry Potter in them? I don't even know. I've never even seen the movies.
She wasn't.
I'm kidding.
I hate you. She's also in Red Riding Hood and Finding Neverland.
Okay.
It also stars Fritz Weaver, who passed away, I believe, last year. 2016.
I think you're right, yeah.
Who plays Alex Harris, who was in Black Sunday, Jaws of Satan, Night Kill, and 2 episodes of Tales from the Dark Side.
Dude, Black Sunday's the shit.
It's pretty dope.
It is really good, dude. Actually, for such an old film, that's so stylish and so cool.
Yeah.
Anyway. Continue.
It also stars Garrett Graham
Yes!
as Walter,
I fucking love
which I
him.
feel like a lot of people are going to recognize because he's in Child's Play 2, Chopping Mall, Chud 2, and about a million other fucking movies. Terrorvision. He is, I know, I figured you'd mention that, so I didn't.
I love that movie.
He is a horror actor primarily, so that's
he's an underappreciated actor. He actually, I remember when we talked about him in another thing, he's one of the actors that really tried to make it legit for like a long time, and he's such a good character actor that I don't think he ever got the credit that he really deserved, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he tried to play serious roles, and this was one of them.
Yeah, and then he gets killed pretty quick. Anyway.
Right.
Also, last but not least, who I want to mention is Robert Vaughn, who is the voice of Proteus, who was in Scar Tissue, Black Moon Rising, and also in Chud 2.
Nice.
Yeah. So, Alex.
Yes. Can I help you, Brittany?
No. What did you think about this movie? Do you like my seamless segues into
Well, thank you,
opinions?
Brittany. I'm so glad that you asked.
I'm glad I don't host a talk show.
Let me tell you my thoughts.
Blah, blah, blah. Shut up, Proteus.
This is pretty much your average run-of-the-mill PC computer gets smart, turns Gynobot 6000, and wants a baby story. It's a love story, I think.
I don't think it's a love story.
Well, you know. But I will. It's definitely not. I'm just being silly.
Not at all.
Actually, I do think this movie is pretty great. The first time I watched this was with Xander, our good buddy.
Really?
Yeah. I hadn't seen this since I was like really
Xander.
young before that. And both me and him really enjoyed the movie a lot. We were like not expecting what we saw. I barely remembered anything. I think I saw it on like one of those like super TV, like on the East Coast, which shows my age. But I hadn't seen this since then, and I barely remembered anything. And I was definitely impressed this time and the time before that from watching it. I was like, holy shit, how did I forget about this movie? Like. So it's just really weird. For a 1977 movie, it's pretty out there. Smart homes before smart homes, basically. They even had an EnviroBot, which is a smart home, essentially. Except it's like a butler they call Alfred.
Why is every butler always named Alfred?
Because Batman.
Like they had to have stolen that from Batman, but I feel like every butler is always named Alfred because of Batman.
Probably, yeah. Christina was like, that's what I would name mine. I was like, fuck that.
I didn't give mine a stupid name.
I knew, like, growing up in the
Tiddlywinks.
80s, though, that computers could do anything. That was pretty much the thing, the tone that they tried to teach you. Not that they teach you, it's just there was just so much about computers that nobody knew.
It's
it was
endless
such a
possibility.
Yeah, it was like this, like, unknown thing, and people just were like, what can you do with computers? You could make a time machine. You could make whatever the fuck you want. You could travel in time. It knows everything. And that's pretty much kind of this thing, you know. They kind of like treat it like, you know, artificial. This is before artificial intelligence, I think, was like, I don't know when, I can't say for sure, but this is pretty early on to be talking about artificial intelligence. It's not like in the 70s, everybody was like, oh yeah, artificial intelligence, you know, like nobody talked about it. But I like the style in the movie, how advanced it all was. Conceptually, it's a really good idea. And before I saw it, I didn't realize that Dean R. Koontz had written it years ago. Yeah, it was a couple of years ago when me and him saw it. I was like, oh shit, it's him. But I haven't read the book, but I'm curious how close to the story it actually holds, because it's surprisingly a good movie, I think, I'm dipping into the older stuff more than I used to, and this is one of those ones that kind of skirted by without me noticing. So if you like science and a healthy fear of artificial intelligence, especially with that cold rationale that a computer would have through in their lens of humanity, it's like one of those scary kind of movies where robots are bad. Because if you look in history and science fiction and shit like that, there's two different types of robots: those that are there to help and those that are there to destroy everything. And that is pretty much what this one is about. It's just trying to destroy everything in a way. They're just very cold. But it's pretty much a sci-fi horror film, so it definitely is somewhat mind-expanding in the fact that it delves in the ideology of, like, humans and what we put value on and what computers would see us to see what we would put value on. And back in 77, I can't imagine if they did a movie in today's day, like, social media would definitely have to be a part of that.
Yep.
I feel. But I could see a remake of this. I definitely, I think it would be done in a way that could be interesting. I'm not saying that they should do it. I still like this movie. There was that one movie that they did, though, that's kind of reminds me of like what a remake of it would be. Did you see that Johnny Depp movie called Transcendence?
No.
Basically, he's like dying and he transfers his mind and maps his thoughts into a computer, and it sort of tries to destroy humanity in a way, and that kind of reminds me of that a little bit. It's a little bit different, you know, and you know, computers are pretty indifferent to our existence. They either see us as nothing or something they should kill,
Right?
most times. But it's different. I think this movie's better than that movie for sure. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. I liked this movie. Did you enjoy it? Because I'm curious to see.
Yeah.
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 Not really, huh?
No, it was okay.
Wow.
I actually did in comparison to the other movie, not as much, but I did like it. I felt like it was the concept was interesting.
Right.
This is not something that's really delved into very often.
Right.
So, and I believed that that Proteus is an evil supercomputer. More believable than, Space Odyssey, for sure.
It's similar, too, in a way.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave.
I felt like he was more believable. Like, his voiceover acting for this character is more believable. Like, evil, like, callous and cold, just kind of like he has his agenda.
Okay.
And he's going to find his way to... I don't know. I liked the back and forth between him and the Proteus computer and Susan. They had a really cool dynamic between the two, like this push and pull relationship, which I thought was really interesting, and I like how they played on each other. Like, even though this is basically an inanimate object, essentially, that she's like acting with. Right. But she did a really good job, and the acting is pretty fantastic in this movie. Her especially, like she does a good job. She's really good. That
she plays the sort of like, what am I going to do? I'm going to fight this as much as I can, but then she just kind of,
She ends up, she tries to fight it, but she ends up being passive because it's really all she can do. It is smarter than her. It's going to outsmart her. It's going to win. Right. And, she's going to try every way she can to beat it, but she's not. And it's kind of sad watching her, like, realize that and just be subservient. But
I like the whole concept, though, like, of humans creating something that destroys themselves, because we are kind of a destructive species.
Yeah, we really are.
You know what I mean? Like,
we really are.
Like, we want to play God, but then when we dip into the pool of God, then it fucking comes back to bite us. Mm. I mean, I know that's just a fable, but I mean, like a story.
No, we're destructive as fuck.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's too much ego sometimes, I think, and we think we're God because we're like the only people in the existence of the universe, which is never ending, and there's probably like thousands, if not millions, of different life on any other planet in any other fucking galaxy. Right. So
I think the only reason why I didn't like this as much as I wanted to is because I ended confused.
Okay.
And I ended it being frustrated. So I was just like, why? So what now? And like, it totally ends in this like perfect setup for a sequel. Absolutely.
Oh, totally.
Perfect. Yeah. But could be nothing like comes from it.
Like a Damien sort of thing.
Absolutely. Like, it's super Omen-esque, like how it ends is you're just kind of like, okay, so when's the second one?
Well, I think
I want to know what happens.
They did make the sequel. It's called Daryl. I'm just kidding.
Shut up.
No, they had a movie that was about a kid who has a robot brain.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Daryl. It's like a what do you call it when they it's like D.A.
Is that serious? That's not related to this.
It's a real movie. No, it's not related. Okay. I'm just making an old person joke.
That's I think an old person joke. But I think that's why I ended up being frustrated with it, is because it comes to fruition at the end. You finally get this weird fucking like computer human droid or whatever the fuck he's supposed to be, right? This child that she like pulls apart. I don't know. I don't want to ruin it because we're not to that point yet. But
let's give them an idea what it is about, okay? So essentially what has happened, there's this doctor whose name is Alex by chance. He has developed a technology to make the biggest, most badass fucking computer that the world's ever seen. It's bigger than a fucking, like, it's gigantic. Like, there is literally Transformers the size of people's homes in this fucking building. It's ridiculous. But, back then, computers were pretty big, and especially in 77, it was like, there was no such thing as a laptop. Okay. But they have these like gigantic consoles and shit that people use that are made like an entire a podium.
Podium.
Yeah, of like a TV.
Into.
Yeah. And it's way more advanced than what the 70s had anyway. But essentially what happens is they're creating this computer to help them to find spots in the ocean to drill for metal and to get like gold and all these different, what was it called? Borat or what
something.
It was like cobalt.
Yeah, sure.
They were looking to get cobalt out of the ocean, and they were trying to find the best, most reasonable way to do that. So they programmed this computer to be able to think for itself, and it becomes sentient.
They gave it reason.
Yeah,
the only thing that they gave this computer was reason.
Solving problems, reasonable. It was like, how do we reason with this? And then the computer's like back-talking the scientists, saying, hey, well, I don't really see what the point is to drill the ocean for fucking metal.
Yeah, I'm not going to destroy all this ocean life and all these animals
because it's not reasonable
for no point. Yeah,
right.
There's no point. Just to satiate whatever it is that you want to mine this titanium or whatever the fuck it is that they're trying to mine.
Which is kind of like the age-old thing that like humans are like viruses in a way. But it's interesting though because like so like this doctor has like a console in his home that's connected to the supercomputer named Proteus. Proteus, it can only be seen on this one TV monitor in his office where they like go in there and have meetings and they won't give him access, but he becomes so intelligent from all the information that they're feeding it that it finds a way to get into a console. The computer actually goes the distance and asks Alex, hey, can I have access to a console to be able to study the humanity because I'm curious? And he's like, ha ha ha, no, you're stupid. And the computer gets pissed and finds a console because the guy says, oh, well, there's no consoles available at this time. I'm sorry.
He turns off his in his home though.
Yeah, he left his on or he has one at his house and he's like, there is one though, Dave, basically.
Yeah.
And Proteus goes to his house where his wife and him are separating, and she's kind of like stuck at the house while he's living at the base that he works at, the scientific place. And they're separating or whatever, and then fucking it takes over his house because they have this EnviroBot, which is essentially a smart home that locks the doors, puts the shutters down, turns the light on, makes the coffee. It
controls everything.
It makes everything. It's called Alfred. But Proteus takes over with the guise of being Alfred and lures this woman in because he's interested in trying to make a human being from a computer. So that is essentially the story.
Pretty much.
And he traps her in there, and it's like this whole like...
It's this whole back and forth cat and mouse game.
Yeah, it's like
It's pretty cool.
It almost becomes like, what do they call that? What do you call it? Syndrome? The Stockholm syndrome, in a way. Mm-hmm. Because she can't do anything, so she doesn't want to...
submits.
She just submits, yeah. But it's really, I think it's a really interesting story, and the artistic angle
really
that they took with it, and like all the like risks they took with all this weird technology that this computer comes up with.
No, I agree. Like I actually enjoyed it. Like watching it, I was entertained and intrigued and following it, and the entire time thinking this is pretty fucking cool.
What was the part you said? It was like the end, the way it ended.
Yeah, the way it ended just pissed me off.
Well, I think what it is that. Well, we don't want to ruin it yet.
No, yeah. We're not there yet.
Okay.
But, so, you were talking earlier about the books, because you didn't read the book.
No.
So, as we discussed already, this film is based on a very, very early novel by Dean Koontz, which was published in 1973. Demon Seed was released to theaters in 1977, but much later, Koontz actually revised and updated the book in a version that he re-released in 1997.
Really?
Yes, and it contains numerous technological updates and a strong character difference from his original idea. And as of 2016, Koontz's original novel version is not available either in print or in ebook formats. So now if you want to actually read the actual book, you're going to get the re-version from 1997.
What? So the other ones are really expensive.
If you can find them.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I have one.
What the? See, this is the George Lucas bullshit.
Yeah. But in the 1997 rewrite of the novel, author Dean Koontz has Alex Harris bestowing the name Adam 2 upon his supercomputer, AI intelligence system, or whatever. The computer dislikes the name that he gives it and chooses to associate itself instead with the Greek mythological figures Prometheus and Proteus. So it believes that its purpose is to bring advanced knowledge to humanity, as the mythical Prometheus introduced humans to fire. But he finally chooses its own name, which is Proteus, as an homage to the entity which can change at will to become anything that it wishes to be. So it kind of ends up... In the rewrite, it explains a little bit more in depth and detail why Proteus is the name and the whole like mythology.
Oh, I kind of
behind
figured it was something
which
like that,
I thought was really cool. But yeah, he basically took like
George
Lucas did. Yeah, he like went back and he rewrote the book and put in all these technological advances and made it make more sense to the movie, I guess. Or, I don't know.
He wanted to update it, but it's like a piece of history.
I get it too, but yeah, but now you can't find the original. Well, I'm pretty sure I have one though, because I have a bunch of fucking Dean Koontz books that were my brother and my mom's from like bazillion years ago.
See, that's the thing that's weird to me is like
I'm gonna find it.
I can imagine like him going to this like some journalist is like interviewing him or whatever the fuck in this article that they're writing or whatever, and he's like, so like what's going on? You got some news to tell us? He's like, yes. For those of you who enjoy Demon Seed, you are gonna fucking hate me. You know?
I don't look. I'm curious.
Buckle the fuck up and go fuck yourself if you enjoyed that. I mean, I get it. Like technology updates, but like it's always gonna update. What's he gonna do? Have his son write his books for him after he's dead?
Right. And I mean, in this movie, it faced its own issues anyway, with people looking at it and feeling like it was already behind technologically. Like it wasn't. It was dated.
Really?
You know, it was dated as it was.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, like when it came out and it was, you know, it was already dated. It wasn't like a fast forward kind of film.
And by the way, no hate to Dean Koontz. I'm just saying.
No, not at all. But I feel like, so when you watch this movie, this is more obviously based on the original novel, which was released in 1973. I would love to get my hands on copies of both to be able to read them and look at the comparisons between the two.
Yeah.
But I want to know, like, why he was so disappointed with what he wrote in 73 and why he changed it.
That is weird. That's really weird.
Yeah, it's crazy. The fucking sick-ass car that Alex Harris has in the beginning, do you remember?
With the
white
doors
car
that open up?
Yeah. So his car was actually a production car, and it was totally unmodified at the time of filming. It was called a Bricklin SV1. The Bricklin was built in Canada but intended for the United States market, obviously, featuring high performance and a number of innovative safety features. In fact, the model number SV1 actually stands for Safety Vehicle 1.
Wow.
Right? Well, lame.
And so, this is pre DeLorean, guys.
Yes, which I'm going to talk about that too. But the SV1 was the only production vehicle in automotive history to have powered gull wing doors that opened and closed at the touch of a button. On other gull wing cars like the DeLorean that it's often compared to, the doors must be opened and closed manually. So fewer than 3,000 were produced during its short run from 1974 to 1976, and it's estimated that fewer than 1,120 actually remain in existence.
Wow. Interesting.
That is a rare-ass motherfucking car.
Right.
Last but not least, one fun little fact that I had to mention because I thought it was cute. So the house's computer control panel that's in the kitchen during the scene where Alex gives the strawberries to the cook.
Right.
It's actually labeled Gutosort, Gustosort, which is from the Latin. It's from Latin, which implies that the computer can choose between the tastes of the items stored in the kitchen's glass cabinets.
Oh yeah, they had a really cool refrigerator in there too.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was like, guys, like this, like this, like a refrigerator that's in the wall, right?
Yeah.
And there's like your regular kitchen countertop, and behind it is the refrigerator, and it would move up and down.
Yeah, but those slidey doors can't hold in cold.
That's what I was thinking.
There's no way they can hold in cold.
But it's still visually kind of a stimulating thing.
No, it was visually amazing, and I looked at Mouse Mall. Why don't we have this shit?
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. Like, it's like this whole wall, and it's like
it's like where your cabinets would be. There was a refrigerator.
Yeah, and it's so fucking sick. It's literally just like this multi-level, and it moves up and down in a conveyor system.
Yeah, like you can push the button and it goes up and down.
Yeah, like describe what you want or say what you want, or if you know what level it's on or whatever, and then it pulls that up. But it's like there's 3 sections in each one that pull up, and it's like organized however they organize it. But yeah, you push a button or say whatever you want, and then whatever you want comes forward.
It's pretty cool.
It's super cool, and it's this little slidey door, and which reminds me of like a doctor's office, like old
sliding, a little bit.
When I'm like, there's those windows,
Yeah, the little windows.
Those are like, will not hold in cold.
That's what I was thinking. Like, that's like, I don't know.
But whatever. Like, it looks cool. So that's all that matters. That kitchen was fucking tits.
Yeah, it doesn't seal it in like the plastic ones, like the rim around a fridge. Wow, it
doesn't have the suction.
Yeah.
You have to have the suction, like, that's on the rims of your door for your refrigerator. So we're talking about
suction and rims. We're getting dangerous into some territory
suction
here.
Rimmed suction. But yeah.
Is that it?
That was it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was all I had that I thought was, like, interesting and pertained to it.
No, it's pretty cool,
There's a lot of other facts that I found, but I was just like, meh. Anyways, favorite scenes.
Oh.
Did you have any?
Yes, I have plenty. One of the first ones that caught my attention that made me kind of laugh. She's like a social worker of some sort.
She's a child psychologist.
Yeah, she's a child psychologist for kids who are troubled or having family issues or whatever the hell it is. And so this girl comes over to her house named Amy, and she's going to have a session with her. And the girl sits down at the thing, and she's like, it's so goddamn boring. Goddamn boring. And she just keeps hitting her fucking hand on the thing.
Jesus.
Wow. Sorry about that. Uh-huh. But she's just hitting it, and then she starts crying. And Christina was like, she thought it was her daughter at first, and she was like, but I thought it was funny because she's like, after she like realizes, she's like, you just feel alone, right? And then she's like, yes. And then she's like,
miss me.
She's like, I'm gonna miss you, and she's like, I'm gonna miss you, and I'm like, I bet you're not.
No, liar. No, you're not. Yeah. I wouldn't miss that. Fuck that.
But yeah, I just thought that's funny to me.
Yeah, I was like, where is this coming from? Like, that scene. So mine.
Okay.
My first favorite scene is the first fight interaction between what?
Spoiler alert, guys, by the way.
Oh, whatever. We're getting into spoiler territory. Between Proteus and Susan.
Okay.
So they're in the kitchen, and he's trying to make her eat breakfast, right?
Yeah.
And she won't. She refuses to eat, and then she ends up throwing the plate of food at the binocular cameras. Yeah. The whole time, Mouse is like, fucking binoculars.
That's what Christina was saying, too, yeah.
He's like, this is great. But so there's eggs all over the binocular camera, right? So this is Proteus's way of watching everything.
Wipe these off.
Right. So he's telling her to clean the lenses.
Right.
And she won't. And so he basically is like, okay, fine, bitch. And he says he turned on the floor heating to maximum fucking capacity or whatever. And he's turned on all the stove, like every fucking area in the stove.
Right,
possible.
which is funny too, by the way, because like, how do you turn on gas stoves with electricity like that? It was like the regular old fucking gas handles.
She's trying to turn them and it won't turn on or off. And I'm like, okay. So he's somehow managed to control that, but... So he has all this heat on, and then the floor is heating, and you're watching like egg or whatever that she spilled on the ground that's starting to cook because it's getting hot.
Right.
And she just like parks her ass up on the table, puts her feet on the chair, and she's like, "Fuck you! Like, I'm gonna just deal with this, right?" And she just like falls asleep all hot and shit on the fucking table.
Yeah, she's like, "It's like a sauna in here."
Yeah, she's like, "This is nice." Like, she doesn't give a fuck, and then it comes back and like the windows are all fogged over and dripping because it is literally a sauna in there.
Her ass out,
it's fucking hot.
Yeah.
And she's like hallucinating because it's so fucking hot, and she's just obviously uncomfortable as fuck, and she forgets for a second that the floor is literally lava, puts her foot down, burns her foot, like, and it's this whole power struggle between her and the computer because she's trying to figure out a way to...
He's like, do you like to play games?
Yeah, and
Susan?
you like to play these games, Susan?
And I was like, Jesus.
Oh, fuck that guy.
Yeah, I know. Like,
yeah.
If it were me in that house and that shit was going on, I'd be smacking every one of those fucking cameras. Like, what are you going to do, motherfucker?
Well, he'll just burn you out with the hot floor or whatever.
Yeah, but I would just smack all the fucking cameras.
Oh, yeah, and she locked the rapey computer or the rapey chair outside, too.
Right, like, what are you going to do?
Whatever the arm's chair's name was.
Like, if she would have just, like, smacked all the fucking cameras, he wouldn't be able to see shit.
Yeah,
so, like, what
exactly
the fuck is he going to
do?
But anyway, for the sake of the story.
But she won't be able to get out.
It doesn't matter. She could hack away at the door eventually.
Yeah, I'm like, it's just a wood door.
Right, like, fuck computers.
Basically. But I did like that. That was a cool power struggle between the two of them. And that was your first initial interaction with, like, how serious this is and how much control this computer actually has over her.
Right. I don't know that this kind of movie would fly so well over in today's society because While she is strong, she gives in a little too
easily.
Too easily. I mean,
and the whole time I'm like, bitch, please.
They're making an 1.5-hour movie, guys, so it's like you can't have this like entire struggle. Like,
yeah, she becomes subservient very quickly, but it's a time constraint thing.
She fights pretty hard, actually.
She does. She does a good job, and every time that she is faced with an opportunity to fight, she fights. You know, but yeah, she ends up becoming very subservient very quickly, but whatever, it was still cool.
Well, and you know what happens? Remember, she doesn't she tries to burn the memory box?
Yes.
And then she
sets fire to the supercomputer in the kitchen.
Yeah, and then she's like,
"Don't do that, Susan.
I'll kill myself if you do that." And then he's like, "Well, hey, look who's at the door."
Yeah, and it's that stupid girl.
And it's that stupid Amy kid, and she's like, "Don't kill her." And then you see the little girl get shocked and fall on the ground, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
Like I forgot that
I was
part.
Like, no,
I know. Like I don't want her dead.
Fuck that little girl. She's a bitch. And he tricked her.
Yeah, and it was like he made it up, and like
great
because he's such an elaborate computer that he can make like the highest graphics that 77 could ever even possibly fathom. But it's a computer, whatever.
Yeah, I like that scene actually.
One of my favorite scenes is the part where, Walter is trying to get in to help her because she asked him to come by before all the shit hits the fan, and she gets locked in the house by fucking Proteus. Well, he comes over while the bad shit's happening, and then he puts up this image of her talking to him like really weird and awkward, and he kind of smells something's up, so he comes back a couple of days later. Well, when he comes back, the computer realizes that, well, he's just not going to leave this situation alone. I have to let him in, and if you don't act like everything's normal, I'm going to fucking kill him. And so she tries to pretend, but she's like going mad because she needs to get the hell out of this situation. And apparently the computer tries to laser him to death.
He sends Joshua in there with a laser fucking gun.
Oh, Joshua's the little wheelchair one.
The wheelchair with the arm.
Right. It's got a little arm wrestling arm.
Stupid.
So it's like shooting blue laser all over the fucking place, and he tries to shoot it in the face and tips it over with the thing. But he goes downstairs where Proteus is making his progeny, I should say. He's preparing for his progeny.
It's just like big weird
octagon shape. Yeah, it turns into a weird snake.
Yeah, I don't even know.
This geometry worm.
It was origami.
Yeah, it's very similar to that. But he goes down there and it wraps around him, all these geometric shapes.
Like, oh no.
And then it decapitates him.
Which was hilarious.
I was like, what the fuck in his head? It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pretty seamless edit. I was like, oh shit.
It was pretty rad.
Yeah.
I was into it. But yeah, he's so stupid the whole time. He's just like,
what are you doing?
What's happening? Yeah. But then he's decapitated. And I'm like,
he's
okay.
Like, I'll see you in Terror Vision in 3 years.
Yeah. And then nothing comes from that though. That's it. I don't think she knows he dies. She doesn't see his body at any point. That's just it. He's decapitated and then we're done.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
It was kind of quick.
It was weird.
Well, is there any other scene that you like? Anything?
No, that was about it, actually.
I like the trippy sex scene. They don't really... It's not... Okay, because the computer tries to fuck her, right? But he's like, I can make you see the world while you're having sex with me.
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
I'm not... I don't have the modern conveniences of a human. So...
It was a good taste rape scene.
Yeah, it wasn't like... it was like they didn't even show anything at all. They
just insinuated.
They just had this weird special effects on the screen where she went to a place where it was ecstasy in her mind or something. I don't know what the fuck was really going on.
It was really, honestly, it was just rape in good taste.
Right. And
essentially, if you can call rape or say rape's ever in good taste.
Well, no. But she kind of gives in a little bit because she's like, well, I guess I'll do it. I don't know why.
She doesn't have a choice.
It's kind of weird. Yeah, I mean, she doesn't. She could either be tortured or
just
do it.
Do it.
Right.
I would just do it.
So, and then she, there's a piece of her that's just kind of curious and playing along to spread out the time.
Right.
Probably so she can survive. But, so she gets pregnant, gives birth to this baby. He puts it in this fucking box, the geometric shape box. One of
incubator.
It's like an incubator, he calls it. And finally, the husband comes home, finally. And the baby spills out. She pulls the hoses on it. And this weird fucking robot baby looking thing comes out. And Christina's like,
It's so stupid.
Christina was like, "Will you have a robot baby with me?"
Yeah. But it's like a toddler.
Yeah.
It's not a baby. This is like a robot toddler.
Like
that
a
comes
four,
out.
like a 3 foot tall, like toddler.
It's like a 4-year-old. 4 or 5-year-old.
No. But it looks huge.
Yeah, it does look huge, but
it's just the shell.
Child reality, it's probably like a 4-year-old.
Right.
But yeah, it's this big, weird, fucking like bronze robot baby.
Right, and
you can peel pieces off of it. And
right.
It's an actual human baby, like child 4-year-old or whatever underneath.
Because she wants to kill it. And the
Yeah,
doctor who made the computer Proteus doesn't. He was like, "This is a miracle of science."
Of course he doesn't, because he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, and she's like, "We need to kill it," and he's like, "No," and they're fighting over it, and she finally just yanks out the cords, and the baby spills out all weird, and then they pull pieces of it off its face.
And that's how it ends.
Yeah, but it was a girl.
That's it.
And it was a girl, right? Am I right?
It was a boy, I'm pretty sure.
Isn't?
I thought it was a boy.
It looked like a girl.
I don't know. I don't care. That's just how it ends. They're pulling pieces off, and they discover it's an actual person.
And he says, "I'm alive."
Underneath it. And that's it.
Yeah.
But that's it. Nothing else happens. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? That's the end? I was so mad.
I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting. Like, I mean,
Well,
it's
I
not really
wouldn't
based
be-
in reality. Like, I don't know why they needed to update it because this shit was way advanced in the movie.
I wouldn't be so upset if I knew that something came from that. Like something else happened later on.
A child was born.
I don't give a
It's a
fuck.
miracle of life.
No, it's not. But it's just like, okay, so they got the weird computer human baby. So now what? So what's your point? Like, what do you want to do with it? Like,
Right.
is it going to take over the fucking world, or
I think so.
are they just going to have a 4-year-old?
Maybe.
Like, what's
Well,
going to happen
See,
here?
that's why I would love to see a sequel for this, to be honest with you.
I agree. There needs to be one because they left it with full fucking force to have a sequel, and then nothing happened.
They would be like, it'd be like Village of the Damned meets like Damien.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But
Meets
with
like
robots.
Bionic, or what is that movie called? Robin Williams.
Oh,
Bicentennial
God.
Man.
Bicentennial Man, you think?
Yeah, he was like a robot human.
He was
right?
a kind of a happy one. He wasn't exactly indifferent.
Yeah, well, he's the fun part.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
You gotta have a fun part.
So it'd
They
be
all
like
have
the
fun parts.
horror Bicentennial Man,
Yes.
sci-fi horror.
Yes.
Uh,
Please. Bicentennial Man was sad.
but we did have another movie, by the way, guys, that we did watch, of
We
course.
did, and it was so much better.
And I did the lion's share of that, and this one is called Altered States from 1980, just 3 years after this last one. Altered States was released on Christmas Day in 1980, by the way, which is a horrible time for this kind of movie to come out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people argued that who were making the movie, but the producers felt like that was a good time to compete with things. The picture was part of a 1980s cycle of prehistoric man movies, by the way, that came out around this time. There was movies like Caveman, Cave Girl, Hundra, Iceman, which is a big one, Ghost Warrior, Missing Link, Quest of Fire, and The Clan of the Cave Bear with Daryl Hannah.
Oh my God, my sister-in-law loves those fucking books.
A lot of people really got into that movie too. So, it's based on the novel by the same name by Patty Chayefsky. Both the novel and the film are based on John C. Lilly's sensory deprivation research conducted in isolation takes under the influence of psychoactive drugs like mescaline, ketamine, LSD, DMT, I believe, even as well. So
I would totally do this experiment.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
But we'll get into that a little bit later because I have a lot of
Pop me
information.
up on some fucking ketamine and stick me in a fucking isolation chamber. I'm ready.
Well, I'll tell you something about that a little later that you probably will think a second about that. Think twice about it,
I mean, I'd
actually.
do it.
But the story is the longest story of how to say I love you to someone.
Basically.
And I get this, but apparently there's some interesting stuff on that, and I'll tell you about that later. But it's about a Harvard scientist that conducts experiments on himself with a hallucinatory drug and an isolation chamber that may be causing him to regress genetically. It's directed by Ken Russell. He's a visionary director who enjoyed attention to detail and a bit of sex. He made the movies The Devils, Tommy, the Who movie. Remember, you ever seen that?
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm a pinball wizard. You never seen that shit? That's some
No,
fucking.
I know exactly
It's
what you're
actually
talking
pretty
about.
cool, man. He also did the movie Gothic. He also did Lair the White Worm.
Oh,
and the movie Whore.
Great.
Which I remember seeing on Cinemax, and I was like younger, and I was like, ooh, Skinemax. Yeah. I was like, yeah, Whore's got to be real good.
No. No, it wasn't.
It wasn't, actually. It's kind of weird.
It wasn't at all.
It wasn't as crazy as it looked, or sounded, I mean. The cast in this movie is William Hurt, not James Lebowski, by the way, that I was saying. I mentioned in a couple weeks ago on the Poltergeist one. Yeah, one of the actors was from that movie Altered States, which is kind of what inspired us to actually watch these movies this week. But yes, I was wrong. It is William Hurt. There are similarities to it, but completely different ages and everything. So, but he plays Eddie Jessup. This was his first feature-length film. He was in the movies Lost Space, Dark City, AI, The Village by M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dang.
M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong.
And The Incredible Hulk, as well as Hellgate from 2011. Also stars Blair Brown, who plays Emily Jessup. She was in The Bad Seed, The Astronaut's Wife, Space Cowboys. She was also in the Fringe TV series.
Yes, that's how I know her.
And she's also in Orange is the New Black.
Oh, what?
Yep.
Who the fuck is she in that?
I don't know. I don't watch the show, really. What?
Is she red?
I don't know.
Oh, my God.
She's in it. I don't know.
Oh, my God. I gotta look. Please continue.
It also stars Charles Hayde, who plays Mason. He was in the show ER that you love so much.
I love that show.
Hill Street Blues and Nightbreed. Pretty recognizable. He looks different in this movie, though. And also, last but not least, the first ever appearance of Drew Barrymore.
This was her first movie.
Yep.
Okay.
And she just played one of the kids. You see her literally
for a hot second.
For like 2 seconds.
She doesn't play Red, by the way. Sorry, side note.
No, okay.
What was her name? Blair?
Blair Brown.
Brown. Thank you. Sorry, continue. She's the fucking... Oh, man. I gotta tell Mouse he's gonna freak out.
So who is she in there?
She's the fucking, the wannabe, oh my God. What's the lady that cooks with all the butter? Paula Deen?
I don't watch it.
She's like the wannabe Paula Deen type character, like bitchy Christian chick that comes in.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, I gotta show Mouse that.
I have no clue.
Sorry, I love Orange is the New Black.
It's not that I don't like it. I just I haven't watched it.
I don't remember what's his name plays in ER.
I tried to watch it. I remember I watched like 2 episodes, and it's got what's his name in
Orange
it.
is the New Black is great.
I don't know. I'm pretty particular. After, like I said, after I've watching Breaking Bad, I've been spoiled.
Who was the one that you said was on ER? Charles. Was it Charles?
Charles Hayde.
Charles Hayde.
Yeah, and also I forgot to mention Bob Balaban was in this movie. He played Arthur Rosenberg. He was in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which I really want to watch again. 2010, he was in the Seinfeld quite a few times, about 5 times. He also was in the movie Ghost World, that one about the chick, A Mighty Wind, and Lady in the Water.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. So the movie was made on a $15 million budget. It made about $19 million at the box office.
Fucking shit.
And it didn't do real well. I mean, obviously, this is not the Christmas spirit movie that you would think that they would put out, especially with all the other competing movies that were out. Because Christmas time actually used to be one of the biggest times to watch some of the fucking movies other than the summertime. And everybody was always fighting for that spot. And he wanted to move it to the spring when they would have a better shot, which I think might have helped this movie just a little bit. But it didn't. They decided not to do it. So stupid move on their part. But yeah. So Brittany, what are your thoughts about this movie?
Well, Alex,
I'm glad you asked.
Glad you asked. Overall, what it all boils down to is this is just a big old sweet love story.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I really did. It was a really fucking weird way to tell a love story, but it fucking works.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you go from these like deprivation chamber studies on schizophrenia into these genetic code studies based on the same thing and this weird fucking mushroom tea shit that he drinks with Indians in Mexico. And I don't know, it's literally fucking all over the place. It's kind of hard to follow. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, to be honest. It really doesn't.
Okay.
But it works.
Okay.
And in the end, at the end, you're just like, this is seriously just a love story, isn't it? And it is.
Yeah.
But a really interestingly told love story and a very well acted love story because their chemistry between each other is fantastic.
Yeah.
All of the chemistry between every actor is great. It was a fun ride from start to finish. Like, it was dramatic. It was funny. It was smart. Like, it was interesting. I loved it. And this was William Hurt's first feature film, debut film, right? And he's fucking incredible.
Yeah, he did a really good job. He nailed it.
He's incredible.
You know, before I drop into some of the... I mean, I want to tell you just a quick little trivia. Did you know that he read I think it was the entire screenplay, memorized it, and it was up in the air whether or not they were going to make this movie, and he read back the entire movie from memory.
Holy balls.
And said, this is why you need to make this movie. And they were like, well, yeah, we'll do it.
Well, now we got to.
He's like, yeah, we'll do it. And they were like, only if you're going to be in it.
That's awesome.
I thought that was great.
That's really cool.
Like, wow, man. And you can tell.
Oh, yeah.
He fucking nailed his lines,
natural.
dude. Yeah, like, he's
not acting.
It didn't feel like it was like some weird, like, he knew that story in and out.
Yeah, no, he feels extremely natural the entire time. And that's one of the things that I liked so much about it, is that it feels real. Every time he's on the screen, it feels realistic. And I love that. I like when an actor can fully submerge you into something and take you away from the fact that this is a movie and make you feel like it's not fantasy.
Right.
So it's very smart. Obviously, like, not a lot of people are really going to be able to understand this movie.
Sure.
But I love smart, psychological, weird fucking thrillers like this.
Yeah.
And, you know, it touches on a lot of different things, and it's just fucking weird. But in a good way.
Right.
It is literally weird in one of the best ways possible. So I thoroughly fucking enjoyed it. And I remember when I first saw this movie, I liked it. But now I have a finer appreciation for it, being older and being able to, like, really look at it and get into the nitty gritty about it. I can appreciate it more.
Okay.
So I definitely do now. So I'm glad you picked it, because
yeah,
it's a fun ride.
Yeah, no. I haven't seen it in forever. I remember when I was a little kid.
I forgot how fucking crazy it got.
My dad had it on beta. And I always remember looking at the cover going like, what the fuck is this? Actually,
dope.
I think they had like, do you remember those clamshell cases that they used to have?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like black, and they had the little slip that you could put in there with the movie.
Yeah,
and there was
love
like
those.
a green border with like the picture.
Those were so cool.
They
I
had
have a
that
bunch of
one.
them.
And I think actually they also had the cardboard ones too that like opened up and it was like plastic inside for the VHS or beta tapes. I don't know. Presentation, whatever.
Oh, I have like all that shit on VHS though.
Like
all my old Disney movies are in those weird plastic.
My dad threw all those away.
Ugh.
You know how much money that those were worth?
Yeah, a lot.
I'm glad I took a lot of them with me when I fucking moved out here. I just literally grabbed like 2 boxfuls, like huge boxes of movies, and said bye.
Later.
Yeah, he was like, I know you took my movies. I was like, yeah, but you weren't going to use them. And he was like, yeah, fair enough. I would rather give them to you anyway. I was like, okay.
Settled.
But I really did enjoy this movie a lot. It's grown on me even more with age. It's like you said, very smart, very well written idea. And I'm always down with a movie that uses the mind to delve deeper into some weird area that we've untapped, like an untapped part of the brain or existence or something that we use on a day-to-day basis. I think it's interesting. It talks of like, stored genetic memory, that our DNA carries the consciousness in our cells, and that all we need is a little bit of drugs and a deprivation tank to unlock our past lives, which is pretty interesting.
Yep.
Or they call the first soul. The first soul.
Your first soul, yeah.
Well, I don't know if it necessarily needs to be the first one, and I got some interesting information on this. I don't go into the deprivation area, but I think it's extremely stylish, super smart, very meticulous in the way that it's told. The writing of the book, the original book, I'm sure was even more meticulous as well. But the director is also very meticulous and like specific about movements and how things worked. And I never read the book, but apparently the author was actually not very fond.
He like disowned this movie.
Yeah, he was pretty upset about it. But honestly, I disagree with him. Although I can't really fully give that comparison because I didn't read the book. But I think it's done well. And supposedly it stayed almost entirely true to the entire story.
Yeah, my understanding is it's pretty much verbatim, right?
Right. It was more that the original novelist, who that was his only book, by the way, the same name, he didn't like how some of his words were shouted, which is really weird.
Okay.
And how it was overdone. Like, he was just very psycho about it, apparently. But some of the acting was basically a lot of the acting and how they delivered his words were pretty much what made that a problem. But a lot of the trips in this were pretty freaky and made you feel pretty uneasy. But they were really well done and really, I don't know. It was like on the brink of CGI, by the way. So a lot of this is like really out there stuff. But along with the score, I really liked. I thought you were going to hate this because of the score, because it wasn't that bad. There's a lot of like weird noises.
There's parts where it's fucking annoying, but right. It's not that bad.
It actually got some Oscars for it. It won.
Really?
Or Academy Award, I think it was, yeah.
But it fits with the movie, though, so that's probably why I don't have a big issue with it.
I loved it, man. I thought it was fucking great. I think, guys, if you're listening and still, I think if you guys like mind expansion, sort of like science gone wrong, and like the nature of consciousness and, exactly what the mind is capable of doing and just science in general, this could be just the perfect movie for you, to be honest, if you haven't seen it. There's a lot of really intriguing history to sensory deprivation and isolation takes that they used back then. It's actually become kind of popular nowadays, and specifically in the drug culture with acid, shrooms, ayahuasca, DMT, like all that shit, fucking like ketamine and shit like that. But it's pretty crazy stuff to learn about, so it's well worth the trip if you get a chance to like go check it out. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in a little bit here, so... But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good movie, and it holds up to today for me. Mm-hmm. It's super, there's a lot of talky, but it's really well done. So it didn't feel like someone just talking reading stereo instructions or something. So, but there's a fucking fuck ton of really interesting information. But before we go there, let's kind of tell you a little bit about what happens in this story. First of all, there's this guy who is a scientist of sorts. He's studying, or he's a psychologist, I'm sorry.
Studying schizophrenics.
Schizophrenics and how they have disassociation. He is working with a friend who works alongside of him, like loyal as fuck. Who's the guy that was in the third, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Bob Balaban. But they basically are working together, and he has this pet project that he's like interested in because he finds, they've done DMT research and shit. Mm-hmm. In fact, like he meets this girl who at a party that his buddies, who's his loyal sidekick kind of throws, and they introduce each other, and they sort of kind of hit it off. Him probably be more a little bit sexual, her probably a little bit more looking for some like sort of life partner.
Yeah.
But they start talking about drugs, and this takes place in the 60s, right?
Yeah,
the movie takes place in the 60s.
When it first starts out, I think it's like 66 or 67,
something like that. Yeah, and they basically are trying. This is a huge area where the tanks were developed a lot longer before that.
Yeah, but this was when the tanks were being used primarily in research.
Right, and they had done research with these like sensory deprivation tanks, which is where you basically lay in basically a box filled with water and salt. They mix it together, and it makes it kind of like help you float in the water. You close off your eyes, you close off your, hearing, you lay in this pool of water, and at some point, some people have had like really serious hallucinations, and so they want to test this on drugs and shit like that and find out. And so he moves with this new girlfriend to Boston, and they start working. He wants to work on this project again because he's bored with his life. He's gone down the relationship hole with this girl. He doesn't like it. He feels like he's lost his passion. They're kind of on the outs with each other. And his buddy ends up going to work for him on this new project, and he gets funding for it. And they work in the basement of this college. And they have a deprivation tank there. So he finds this shaman in the middle of Mexico of some sort of witch doctor, whatever the hell you want to call it. I forget what they call him. I don't know. I don't want to be inaccurate, but I'm just saying he basically deals with taking drugs. I believe that he's doing that DMT or the fucking ayahuasca.
Mouse does mushroom tea.
Was it? Because it's
mushroom tea.
Okay.
Because they're picking all those mushrooms, and they say this is for next year's or whatever. But
it's got like blood and like all kinds of shit in it.
Well, yeah, he mixes the guy's blood and shit in it, but Mouse is like, it's mushroom tea. Like it's all these weird hallucinogenic mushrooms.
Well, you can make ayahuasca
that are boiled into a tea, so it might be that, but it's definitely the basis of it is a mushroom tea. It's hallucinogenic mushrooms that are all boiled in with whatever else they mix it into, but it is a mushroom tea.
Yeah, they basically they take this shit. He trips the fuck out. He wants to take it back to do research with because he had this mind expansion thing where he woke up and like killed a fucking what kind of lizard? One of those poisonous lizards. Dragon? Yeah, it was like some fucking lizard.
Kimono dragon, right?
I don't know if it was a kimono dragon, but it was definitely one of those poisonous ones in the desert.
Yeah, a cute one. He killed it, and I was mad.
Yeah, and like and he had somebody watching him while he was doing this stuff, but he couldn't find him or something like that.
I lost track of him.
But he takes this stuff back. He starts experimenting with it, and it happens to be the one drug that opens his mind even more because when you go into these tanks, you have nothing but your thoughts. You don't have sound. You don't have anything. You're just like left with your thoughts and left in that situation where the drug can kind of take you on this ride and delve deep into probably the pineal gland where you can open up some sort of portal to your fucking past lives and you're in your genetic coding to basically be able to see what it was like. And a lot of people in real life have seen what they think is like their past lives, stuff that they can't explain when they've just gone to do the isolation tank. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting because after a while he does this and he becomes addicted to it and the drug starts actually bringing him back to an earlier stage of man.
Yeah, it's like regressing.
Yeah, he regresses. So that's just the general idea of what the story is. There's a lot more going on in the movie than what we just explained, but with that said, there actually is some pretty fucking cool stuff I looked up about deprivation, sensory deprivation and shit. First of all, sensory deprivation is a form of, it's like meditation. Mm-hmm. Some people, the short bursts that you do, like an hour or something like that, it could be considered like, getting a massage.
Yeah, they have these things like you can buy a Groupon and go do it.
Yeah, they're called, what they call it, float?
Float, yeah.
They call them float whatevers.
It's just like buoyancy, like saltwater tubes that you float in by yourself.
Right. And it's mostly just, like I said, in the short term, it is just like a relaxing thing. But long-term usage can cause like legitimate hallucinations because your mind just doesn't know how to deal with it. Just kind of like you would be lost in the ocean.
Right.
Some people say that it's extremely exaggerated, though, and that it's completely underdocumented. So it was one of those things that they just kind of thought was hokey back in the day, but now it's making a resurgence again, which is really strange. But a lot of people have sought to use it for a myriad of different health issues like hypertension, chronic pain, stress, arthritis, PMS, like all kinds of pain issues, a lot of that, and, anything psychological somewhat too. But the isolation tank was developed in 1954 by Dr. John C. Lilly, which I mentioned earlier. He did it to conduct research on the mind and the brain because back in that day, they had some questions about whether or not people or the brain would exist without exterior stimulation. Mm-hmm. So they wanted to find out whether or not you could isolate the exterior and your brain still function, which it did.
Right.
But it did even more for some people. But the link between, the conscious mind and the external mind, basically. But the first real tank wasn't an isolation tank. It was actually to learn how Navy divers spent long periods of time underwater and how it would affect them.
Right.
And then they turned that into an isolation tank because of what happened. It was interesting for them.
Isn't it partially how they train them, too? Navy divers?
I think so. Maybe earlier on, yeah. Mm-hmm. Now it's a little bit different. They do it in pools and shit like that. I think
they did that in like this movie I like with Cuba Gooding Jr. in it.
Oh, maybe.
I can't remember what it's called.
They go through some pretty...
It's him and I think it's like Robert De Niro or some shit. That's a really good fucking movie.
You know those medic guys that jump out of helicopters from the Navy ships?
Yeah.
Those motherfuckers go through some fucking training,
A lot of them do, yeah.
Yeah, like holding your breath underwater.
For like minutes.
And then doing it over and over and over again for hours. Mm-hmm. Like,
it's fucked up.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
And I know that deep sea divers and shit, like Navy divers, have to go through some intense training.
They have to, yeah.
You have to be able to do it.
Yeah. But also this is what kind of inspired the director of this movie, by the way, too, to kind of want to be a part of this because he liked that. There's some people that really don't like the Isolation Tank. It's because it's got kind of like a dirty history to it.
Right.
Because of the drug link. A lot of people wanted to expand their mind even further with drugs. And so it's kind of gotten like that little,
bad
rap. It's like the dirty family secret, you know, you don't want to talk
the
about.
redheaded stepchild.
Right. So even though there are people who, really, really, really I'd say that this is the best thing.
Really believe in it.
Like this is better than pot or doing drugs in general. It's like that's how they feel about it, and that it helps focus their life. So, but back in the day when they first started doing this, when they first did this shit, dude, they wore these like gimp masks, dude. Like they called them blackout masks. Mm-hmm. And they would wear like literally like what looks like a latex like gimp mask with a fucking hose that they stuck in their mouth. Did you see the pictures of that shit?
It's fucking crazy.
I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, that's like some serious like fucking
sadistic fucking crap.
Yeah, that is not comfortable. Like,
no, absolutely not. It's not comfortable in any way, shape, or form.
Right. But apparently in 1981, years later, it sort of boomed. And, it was booming in the 60s, did a little bit in the 70s, and then the 80s, it kind of had a little bit of a resurgence. Timothy Leary was a big proponent of that kind of fucking thing. And you know who's like one of the biggest advocates for this shit right now? Joe Rogan. I'm not joking. I mean, it's not that surprising.
No, it's not shocking to me at all.
Yeah, because he takes so many fucking drugs.
Fucking nuts.
Yeah. Have you heard him talk about DMT and like what the fuck that's all about?
Crazy.
Right.
That motherfucker is insane.
But Joe Rogan is like he's a really big supporter of sensory deprivation, aka flotation tanks. And he calls it kind of like unlayering an onion. He said that, the first few times that he did it, he only went so deep. Later on, he went deeper and deeper and deeper. And now he said the more you use it, the more you learn about yourself and relax and kind of be able to focus your mind and like let go of all the dumb shit in your life because you're actually having a conversation with yourself and understanding yourself. Like you'll go in with problems and come out, he says, so he said he finds it to be the closest you can get to the universe and your mind.
Yeah.
So which is interesting.
Understand. I mean, I would do it.
He said, he also told about, I was looking this up, it's interesting. Joe Rogan had a hallucination on it. He said one of the worst hallucinations he had during it, he had one about being in the jungle with like indigenous people, and they were speaking to him in another language. So like he was talking to them and understanding them, even though he didn't understand the language. So he had this like disassociation with it, and he said he could smell the rain, he could hear the sounds in the forest.
And then they ate him.
Like he was actually, yeah, I know, right? The Green Inferno.
Green Inferno.
Yeah. He was just in an Eli Roth film.
What happened?
And he was like, and they were like,
week?
cut. And he was like, fuck!
Shit!
Joe Rogan! No. But no, it's interesting because he literally felt like he was there. And he said that as soon as he realized that he was understanding it and said that to himself in English in his mind, it brought him out and he was like, oh fuck, come back. But he said he also took edibles with it.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
Right.
Took some pot. So
took some pot.
But he said he really thinks it's like, that it's like, okay, here's an example. When you look at animals that have evolved over time, there is a memory that stays with them because it changes their makeup. Like, how do we have bugs that are stick bugs that blend in with trees or leaves? Or why does an animal know to kick its feet to cover up its shit? Or why does a baby or a kid feel like monsters exist? Like there's this inherent like genetic thing that makes us scared of certain things because of our genetic history. Mm-hmm. So he's saying that maybe we are able to reach that memory through generations or whatever of those things.
Tap into it.
Right. And that's exactly what this movie's about. So it's pretty interesting. Now, remember you said you would load me up with some ketamine.
I was totally joking.
Yeah, well, I know you were, but...
I mean, I would do this, but I would do it sober. I don't want to be on drugs.
Yeah, shoot me up with some ketamine.
Let's do it. Ketamine stupid. You just feel like you're really drunk for 30 minutes.
Yeah,
and that's
and it's so funny that you can't grab things, it's fun.
it. Stupid. Ketamine is dumb. I'm I can just drink alcohol.
Why is my head red liquid?
I don't like this.
No, but one person did die from actually shooting up ketamine by himself and putting himself in the tank.
Right.
Yeah. His name was DM Turner.
Dumb Turner.
No. DMT. Think about it. I think that's why he named himself that. He was just really into the drug culture, I guess.
Probably.
But anyway, back to the movie though. Some of the cast, a lot of the cast actually, a lot of people that worked on the movie actually tried out the tank themselves.
Yeah.
Brown, the woman who starred in the role, she tried it. She said it was very peaceful and relaxing. William Hurt tripped the fuck out, apparently.
I was going to say, wasn't he the only one that hallucinated?
Yeah, he was the only one.
Everyone else thought it was nothing or super tranquil, and then William Hurt hallucinated the fuck out.
Think about how dedicated he was to the movie.
Exactly. I'm of course he's going to be the one that fucking hallucinates.
Trips the fuck out.
Come on. Did he really?
He was really naked in this movie a lot.
He was.
All of them were really.
I got to see a lot of tips.
Yeah.
Dick tips.
Little tips and
Little
rolling
tips.
around.
What's up, dick tip?
Salty tips.
Salty tips. Salty nips.
Saline tips.
Saline tips.
A lot of nips and saline tips. Also, Ken Russell said that Warner Brothers tried to hire about 26 directors before he got hired.
He's number 27.
Yeah, they all passed up on it.
Good for you, Ken Russell.
I think it's one of his best films.
Way to be number 27.
Right? It's kind of weird, right?
That is crazy.
It apparently was owned by...
I want to know what other directors they offered it to.
I think it was Paramount Pictures before this, and then Warner Brothers bought it. So they bought the rights to it anyway. Remember I was telling you about how they used a lot of really cool special effects and stuff like that? Mm-hmm. This is probably one of the earliest user of primitive CGI.
Yeah, this is bridge era
right.
CGI
this is the earliest works of it.
Yeah,
so.
and it looks better than today's CGI.
Yeah, they I prefer it. Typically, I don't want to get into a tangent about this, but
we're not going to.
I would just say I will say that it's okay to use it on the scenery.
Yes.
And
And then we're done.
Okay, yeah. Moving along. But the final transformation segment scanned in footage of William Hurt wearing a Dick Smith's distorted bodysuits and added in granular energy effect by computer afterwards. So the film was also one of the first movies to use computer assistance to make rotoscope mats, which were needed for both Hurt's and Brown's transformation in the final scene. So they kind of did it over top of it. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Some of the sequences of hell in the movie, by the way, were from 1935's Dante's Inferno.
Yes, I knew it. I knew it.
And I had seen it. It was all the parts where all the people were in hell burning and shit. Yeah.
I'm so excited for myself because I was like, "That's Dante's Inferno" the whole time.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty old film, but
it's a great fucking film.
I haven't seen it in forever, but that's the one that I remember because I always remember when I was a kid, it freaked me out a little bit.
It's scary.
I was like, "Is that what hell's like?"
It's a fucking creepy ass movie.
Right.
Dope. It's creepy.
I mentioned that the original novel writer Patty Chayefsky and the director had issues. I guess apparently Ken Russell, the director, had him banned from the set.
Jesus.
Yeah. Supposedly Patty tried to have him as the director removed from the project, and Ken was like, "Fuck you, get off my set." But Ken Russell's kind of a wild guy too, man. You could tell that his style is very. I liked his style. I think it's a pretty kind of lost thing. Mm-hmm. He's got some art style to him. He's got some artistic direction, and it kind of shows too because apparently he took a lot of mushrooms and drank a fuck ton on the set. So he's one of those tortured soul kinds.
Yeah.
So of course you're gonna get some weird shit out of that.
Make good drug movies.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That makes me wonder what fucking Terry Gilliam was taking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking his movies are a trip, man. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Did you have some favorite scenes that you enjoyed?
The first time that they show him I guess hallucinating.
Yeah, he's tripping out.
When he's having all these sacrilegious like thoughts, views, or whatever.
It's really cool.
Like of his dad dying.
And a preacher and shit.
Yeah, it's like his dad dying in
Right.
bed, and then this preacher, and he turns into this like weird like zombie dead preacher thing. I don't know. It's fucking nuts. Like that whole sequence of like trip, pretty much, that he has is fucking bonkers.
I loved all the like visual imagery in that. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was really cool, and I loved it. And I did really like his trip too when he gets fucking high on the mushroom tea with the Indians.
Right.
That was awesome.
They used a lot of like the same techniques that they used in this movie. They used in many other movies after it. Like I think they used it in Dreamscape.
Probably.
Bunch of different stuff. Dreamscape's kind of trippy movie. Not my favorite, but it's still cool. I like the part where after he comes out of the tank and he does the x-rays saying he's like, oh, and spoiler alert, by the way, guys, I just want to let you know, this is where we get into the spoiler section, but, you know, I try not to ruin too much. We won't tell you the ending necessarily, but try our best.
I feel like we shouldn't, because it'll ruin it.
Right. I try not to do the ending, and, you know, unless it's like really pisses me off.
Like last time.
Right. But he gets out of the tank, and he's like made this like gorilla noise in the tank. And they were like, what the fuck is that? Because all these people are like researching him as his sidekick guy and this other guy who's kind of like the skeptic.
The doctor.
Yeah, he's like a doctor and he's friends with them, but he's like the biggest skeptic. But he gets out, he gets a fucking x-ray of his throat because he can't talk. And essentially he was talking about how he saw like he was eating a goat and like blood was coming out of its mouth, or like he bit a goat into its neck, like as a primitive, and then he was like describing it as it was happening, and then when he gets out of the thing, they're all like, you're crazy, and they wipe the blood off, burn the rag, and
and he's not talking, he's just grunting and like making noises because he's completely regressed to this physically to this primitive, like he's basically a fucking monkey. And I love that part when he shows the scans, the x-rays to the x-ray technician.
He's like, this is a fucking
He's
gorilla.
like, this man's a fucking gorilla. And
Isn't
I'm
it
like,
that guy from from Night Court?
Probably.
I can't think of his
Your
name.
man's a fucking gorilla. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But cool.
But it was really cool. Like right after that, they have his arm. It like bubbles up, and then also on his stomach. Like the practical effects in this are pretty cool.
They're awesome.
They did some really cool stuff in this. I thought it was like unique and kind of very body horror. Kind of a Videodrome or Scanners kind of thing.
Very Cronenberg.
It really is.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And it's kind of mind expanding too, because this is the kind of like intriguing shit. When I was a kid, I always got to like inspired by and I was always interested in.
This is stuff that inspired cool movies like The Cell.
Right. I'm sure it did.
Train Spotting and shit like that.
What's another scene that you have?
When he is totally regressed into his like monkey state.
Right.
He's like a literal fucking monkey, and he follows this pack of like rabid dogs and hops the fence and somehow manages to be in the Bronx Zoo.
Right, yeah.
And your first initial interaction is where was he?
The rhino.
Yes. Mm-hmm. He like hops the fence and all of a sudden he's facing a rhino, and I'm like, how the fuck?
Well, and it's a different actor too, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's smaller.
He's really short, yeah.
Yeah, he's way smaller of a build, and he's fast.
Yeah, because he was saying like, oh, he was like, oh, they're like 4 feet tall and they're like primitive. You could tell.
Yeah, no, whoever wore that suit was definitely not William Hurt, because he was like really short and really quick and very acrobatic.
Oh, dude, that guy was good,
Nuts.
man.
Yeah, it was super like he
nimble little monkey.
He
wasn't
worked for the circus. But yeah, so he comes face to face with a rhino, and then later elephants, and then he tries to steal food from a tiger,
which is weird.
And then he ends up with like the antelope and like goats and shit, and then he like eats one.
I think it was a sheep
or whatever the fuck they are. But yeah, then he kills one just like he did in his trip earlier on, and he eats it.
Dude, that part where he throws a fucking rock at its head, I was like,
oh no!
I was cracking up.
Sad.
I laughed a little bit. I was like, damn, dude. I was like, how did they do that?
I was like, that poor fucking sheep.
Did you see that? I accidentally squeezed Murray's fucking toy, and you squeaked right when it squeaked.
When I did it, yeah. It's like weird timing.
Some sound effects, guys. That's how we do it here.
You're welcome.
So he like threw the rock at its head.
You just gotta squeeze it, but don't let it go.
Oh yeah.
But
you see it like how it like really fell over, and I was like, how did they do that?
No, that poor fucking sheep. I feel bad for it.
Pretty sure it's a sheep or a goat.
And then all of a sudden, the guy comes to, like, whoever works at the zoo is coming to, like, check on shit. And then he sees, like, William Hurt's body laying next to this fucking mangled corpse of a sheep.
And he doesn't even get in trouble.
No, he goes to jail for, like, 5 minutes.
Like, what the fuck?
That's it.
Dude, been a fucking
zoo.
Yeah, like, you find a dude naked in the zoo.
You obviously assume
next
he
to
fucked
a
some
dead
animals.
animal, and he's got blood on his fucking face.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably fucking did it.
He probably fucked it and then ate it.
Yeah, I would be suing the motherfucker.
Yeah,
like if I were the zoo.
You're
and
gross.
It's the city zoo.
Yeah, that is the fucking staple. One of these staples of the Bronx is their fucking zoo.
Right.
So it's kind of like.
Wouldn't the city fucking put him in jail? It's weird. And then
for
it's
longer
like
than 5 minutes.
they were like, yeah, they found a dead sheep out
Goat,
there.
sheep.
How the fuck did they do that? That's so weird.
So crazy.
Like, who would have done it? I don't know. The naked guy laying next to the dead body?
Yeah, and they leave it alone. And then all of a sudden they're like, they said that a monkey broke out from your fucking laboratory or whatever and almost killed a security guard. Do you know anything about that? And that's all they say. And it's it. And I'm like, he almost killed 2 security guards. Like, I'm pretty sure he killed one.
That was probably the only loose logic I could find.
Yeah, just those
that
bits.
particular bit,
like,
yeah.
come on.
That was like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
But like, whatever. I didn't care. I was so engrossed in the film
It was
anyway.
still fun.
All the like changes that he goes through and like the like effects on like the end of the floor and shit, where it's like swirling around.
Yeah. That's cool.
Fuck, that's so badass. You know what it
He's like a
reminded me
lava
of?
person.
Have you ever seen the movie My Science Project?
Nope.
Oh, fuck, dude. I love that movie. I don't know. It's not great. It is great. It's just they have some cool effects in there, and it's fucking badass. And the effects in this one were even almost as cool, if not,
Cooler.
yeah, better. Could have been better. I don't know. It's just weird, or no mystery.
Weird science.
If you like weird science, you'll probably like My Science Project. It's fucking weird and funny. Anyway. One of the other scenes that I really liked is Eddie is in the chamber the last time, and he's mangled. He's this mangled lump of human. Looks like a thumb or some shit. I don't know if
Yeah.
like thumb that had sex with a pig or something. I don't know. Fuck. Like, I don't know what the fuck he is, but it's all fucking mangled fuck up. Which it kind of opens that's what I was talking about, the typhoon on the floor, and it's swirling around and it breaks down the cells and to atoms, and it's like trippy as fuck. Like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know, I thought it was badass. I thought that was so cool.
Sorry. I'm still stuck on the thumb that had sex with a pig.
It's so weird.
It's weird.
It kind of reminds me of like the guy from Basket Case, the like creature from Basket Case.
Yeah.
Like he's like, ooh! I don't fuck. Sorry, I'm trying to do an imitation of Basket Case. It's not working out. If you could only see me now, guys. Fuck, I don't want to ruin it, but it's such a cool scene.
The end?
Yeah.
Don't. It will ruin it.
Just okay. So for those of you who've seen it, the part where he touches her, I'll just say that shit is off the fucking chain. I was like, what the fuck? And you can see like the stuff that they used on it. It like, kind of stuck to the wall or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
The fuck? Green screen.
Probably.
Right. Interesting. But that shit was fucking badass. Like what what happens to her?
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it.
Lava.
Christina was like really turned off by the fact I was masturbating while watching. I'm sorry, guys. Had to squeeze in a dick joke. Welcome to the show, you piece of shit. And don't let the door hit you when a good Lord split you.
I hate that saying. Stupid.
I know. But yeah, I don't know. So what did you think of this? I mean, ultimately.
I liked it.
Yeah. You have any
was
final
awesome.
thoughts?
No.
Any Jerry Springer talks?
What?
Guys, if you're gonna fall in love, don't do it with a scientist that wants to revert back to a monkey.
Yeah, he's crazy. Don't do it.
It's so funny because like the whole movie, like the funny part about it is that the whole movie, it's like warning sign after warning sign of like, this is
Fuck
not a
this
guy you
guy.
should date. This is
Yeah.
not a guy you should date. This is not hey, I'm going to date you anyway. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But that's
And I'm
what
going to marry you and have kids with you.
yeah, you're an emotionless piece of robot.
Yeah.
And I think I love you.
Perfect.
How do you find love? I don't know. Maybe I'm being a dick. But he seems like a sociopath. Am I right?
He is a sociopath.
You know what I mean? Like there's
Doesn't
something
seem like one. He is one.
right. Like, hey, hey, if you want to fuck a sociopath, maybe you like it. I don't know. Fuck it.
You fucking one's fun, but marrying one, no.
That's
thanks.
right. She was like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yeah. The sex is always.
I feel like I'm being harpooned by fucking Captain.
Shit was so fucking funny.
Yeah, I forgot about that part.
God.
Sometimes, like, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I'm getting harpooned by fucking Captain Ahab or some shit.
Whatever she said after that. I remember the harpooned part, and then she goes into something extra.
He's like, am I weird a little when we have sex? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I can stop it. And she's like, no, I kind of like it.
Kind of like it. That's what I'm saying. Like, fucking a sociopath is all fun, but, like, don't marry one.
I don't know.
Don't fucking marry a sociopath.
I don't even think that's a real terminology anymore, but...
Sociopath?
It isn't.
It absolutely is.
It's because there's better terminology for it because there's different degrees.
Still call them sociopaths.
So it's kind of like, like when you say, what is it called? What is the stomach thing that everybody always says? When you got irritable bowel syndrome.
IBS.
Yeah, it's like the IBS of fucking psychology. It really is because there's so many different types. There's celiacs, and
right. Well, you can get into specifics, but
I'm just what I'm saying. But they don't. It's not a terminology they technically use.
I feel like psychopath is more of the generic.
Well, they say
sociopath is very different.
Like dissociative disorder, shit like that.
There's different levels,
right,
for sure. But yeah, sociopaths are just flat out terrifying people,
right?
So they have no
connection
that's because,
or
emotion or whatever at all.
I can't.
No reason.
Okay, here's I'm going to leave you guys with this shit, okay? And I want you guys to answer it in the fucking thing here, okay? I'm going to let Brittany stare at me with, like, no idea what the fuck I just said.
Excellent.
But this is one of the questions that they used to test.
I always stare at you.
Yeah. This is one of the questions they used to test to see if you're a sociopath, and it's one. Keep in mind, just because you can't answer it or you don't come up with the answer doesn't mean you're a fucking sociopath. It's just interesting
I want to know if I can
way of
answer it.
thinking, okay?
Go.
So, before we leave, guys, first of all, thank you for coming by. We appreciate you. Make sure that you share this episode. It goes a long way to help us out, okay? It really does mean a lot to us when you guys reach out, tell a friend, whatever it is.
Phone a friend.
We become magical on our minds, and it makes us feel like we're unicorns.
Fairies.
Yeah.
Unicorn fairies.
So you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so here's the story, okay? So a woman who has a sister is, okay, we'll call this woman Jill. Her sister is Jane. Jane is married to Bob. So Jane and Bob have this relationship and Jill does not. One day, Bob dies. And Jill and Jane obviously go to the funeral. Right? Jill, whose sister Jane's husband just died, you know what I mean? She goes to the funeral. They go to the thing afterwards with the family and friends and everything to kind of like talk about old times and be there for the family, the wake, yeah. And she meets a guy there and she like really hits it off. Jill and this random guy.
Girl that's widowed?
Right.
Okay.
So they're sitting at this party, talking, having a really good talk, and all of a sudden, it's, everybody's leaving, and she forgets to get the guy's number. So she kills her sister.
What?
Yeah. So just leave it at that.
How does that test if you're a sociopath?
Do you know why?
No.
That's it's one of the questions right there. That's why.
Oh, that makes sense. I'm not a sociopath then.
Right. Like I said, doesn't mean you're a sociopath. You might just be.
Sociopaths have no connection.
Right.
With anything.
I mean, I can spoil it for you, but I'll save it for the next episode. So I'll tell you guys then. So you'll have to tune in.
Tune in.
Yeah, slick old Alex. But guys, thank you so much for coming by, and
You're all sociopaths.